control. I want a perfect body.
Transform and roll out.
Okay, we all have to go through one on one and do an impression of that.
Oh, we all have to do a transformer.
Let's start over here.
Okay.
I was gonna do a Jonas. I was just
Well, yours is
Hell
different.
yeah, dude. Transforming, rolling out even.
Welcome back to
Rolling out and
Absolute Shenanigans.
transform.
We are
Here we
reviewing Transformers.
Woo!
Yeah.
Daniel Warren Johnson, writing and coloring.
I
Or
didn't-
drawing. Sorry.
I didn't realize
he was-
until you told me he was the artist because I saw the two names.
Oh, really?
And it's like, how? It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I know, him and Peach Momoko, it's like the people that can do the art and the writing like that is just like, they're a
crazy.
one person army. It's ridiculous. And especially when it's this quality or that quality, you know?
We
I
can't
feel like-
discount Mike Spicer either because the colors are crazy.
It is so nice.
I feel like it helps so much, especially for the style. I've never read anything by Daniel Warren Johnson before this, but
Me neither.
I mean, man, this is so like it is so. You get his style, you know.
Yeah,
It's very
yeah.
much him. So I think it works really well that he's writing it and drawing it. There's certain things
Singular
like,
vision.
But when I picked up, I was telling Gavin about it, but I didn't realize he also did a Beta Ray Bill series.
Yeah.
And looking at
I
it,
wanna
it
read
looks exactly like Transformers.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
I
it's just
sure-
Beta Ray
but
Bill.
it's
I
just
didn't even
Beta
put
Ray
that
Bill.
together, yeah.
We'll
It's
have
so
to-
good.
We'll have to read that one.
But the colors and everything, and just like the very thick lines, and
Yeah.
just like the
Yeah.
scratchiness is all
Yeah.
it's all there.
The
that's a
lines
good
for
character.
these blocky characters too, it works so well.
It fits so well.
It
I
looks
feel
great.
like the fight scenes, and this is probably something I'll bring up later too, but
Yeah.
when Optimus is a fucking wrestler, dude.
Yeah,
You know,
dude.
the amount
He
of
was talking about
grappling
that.
and
Yeah.
suplexes he does, like Daniel Warren Johnson. I actually think I didn't read a lot of the letters.
Well, he
pages.
actually has an image series about wrestling.
Do a power bomb.
Yeah.
yeah. I've wanted to read that for a while. I mean, I have a little background in wrestling. That stuff just interests me. I was never
he
huge in
wrestles-
WWE, but I really love wrestling, like the idea of it as a sport, and like seeing Optimus suplex all these bad
It's
guys.
fire.
is
It's great.
awesome. Oh man, it's I was
Those
not
kicks are
expecting
and then
that.
lethal.
somebody
man.
does a pile driver on
Yeah.
Optimus later on.
I was not expecting
Shockwave.
all the grappling. Like I was expecting
Yeah, dude.
Transformers to shoot
shoot
each
each
There's
other.
some
yeah.
guns, but there's also a lot of hand to hand. It balances both.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah. So I was looking into Daniel Warren Johnson a little bit, and yeah, the Beta Ray Bill is the main thing I know him from, and then he does his own series, Space Mullet, Extremity,
Space.
and Wonder Woman Dead Earth, which is kind of interesting. But
Oh.
like,
Oh, I've heard
Yeah.
about that. That's a good
but
series.
he's damn good. Yeah, it's like good stuff. And then yeah, the colorist Mike Spicer's worked on some Zdarsky stuff.
Nice.
And also some of other.
I think
stuff
I've
from
heard
Daniel
about
And then
Wonder
we
Woman
should
Dead
also
Earth.
credit
Johnson,
Jorge
sure.
Corona because obviously he picks up the slack.
He takes
for-
over in the second
Yeah.
arc, yeah.
And my confusion.
It's still good.
No, it is so good.
Kirkman's involvement, because he's like on the back of this volume and that kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
is he is the chairman of Skybound and the chief operating officer of Image. So it's like he's very involved in the process, and he's writing some of
And
the
he's
other Energon
taken
stuff.
over after
You know
24.
how,
Yeah,
like-
but he's not with this book. He's not like you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
You know how-
I
Executive
have a question.
producer.
Wait, do you guys know? Because I know, like, obviously we read the Massiverse, right?
Yeah.
And that's within Image. Do you guys know how Skybound operates, like, within Image?
I have no clue.
Image
thought-
just publishes it, I think.
But is
And then-
yeah, okay? So it kind of operates as if it's its own studio, but Image does all the publishing
Yeah,
stuff.
Okay.
I think so.
See, I did not know that.
Yeah, because Image is one of the bigger producers of indies. So
And-
yeah,
Right.
I think Kirkman's role is like, you know how like Hickman's in charge of the Ultimate Universe,
Yeah, I
and
think-
Scott Snyder's
I
in
think
charge
you're
of
right.
Absolute.
Yeah,
Like he's in charge of this universe because he writes Void
Energon.
Rivals.
Void
Yeah.
Rivals, and
Yeah.
he's,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Walking
And-
Dead too.
and he's just-
like that's a.
yeah. Since he's like the chief whatever of Image, it's like I think he just is also just overseeing.
Speaking of,
that,
we only read 12 issues, but
Yep.
for issue
First two
25,
volumes.
apparently he's taking over with Dan Mora.
Dude,
That
which is such a crack
insane.
team.
what
What?
else have they done?
together, I don't know.
Probably I don't know about together,
I mean,
but those
all I know
names
is
are
Kirkman is commonly Kirkman's commonly known as
Kirkman's
this,
coming on to this?
Yes,
Specifically?
he's the
taking over as
writer.
the author.
That's
He's
insane.
gonna be I mean he's
Okay.
known as like the
I didn't
CEO
realize
of
it was
Image,
Kirkman,
also
yeah.
like the creator of
But
Invincible and The Walking
Invincible
Dead.
and Walking
No
Dead
big
are like the
deal.
big
Yeah.
ones.
No
Daniel
big
Warren
deal.
Johnson will finish this off at issue 24, and then
Yep.
Kirkman and
That's
Dan
crazy.
Mora takes over on 25.
Interesting.
And I've seen interior screenshots of it, and
It looks
Dan Mora drawing Transformers
crazy.
is crazy.
Dan Moore
Yeah.
might be my favorite artist. I love how he draws the
Definitely
super
in the modern
suits
time, yeah.
and the armors. Yeah, well, I mean, my favorite artist of the modern era.
Yeah.
and
What has he done before?
he was on.
Batman, Justice League.
So
Superman.
I think he was on the Nightwing book for a while.
Okay,
and then
okay.
but he's been doing World's Finest,
Right.
which is the Batman Superman.
Yeah.
and that took him into Justice League now, and
Fire.
he like this new all-in era of
He's
DC.
kind of like heading the
he kind of piloted the art style in
Right.
the direction they want to
Right.
go in.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
love how he draws like armors, and I mean during all of Absolute Power last year, everyone
Yeah,
like,
he
there
was the artist for that. And
Yes.
everyone looked crazy.
Everyone looked awesome.
Fire.
Everyone got
insane.
like there was a few scenes in one of the issues where like everyone had like new suits and stuff because they lost all their powers.
Yeah.
right.
And like his style, like he loves to draw like little like circular kind of like elements on all the
Yeah.
armor, and like it's a little gimmicky. Like he's
Sure.
got his style, but
Sure.
like fuck
If it
doesn't look
works,
so cool.
yeah,
No,
then,
it
yeah.
looks good.
Fire.
It ain't
That's
broke,
exciting.
don't fix it.
And especially with like the armor, like the more mechanical, bulkier looking super suits, like he's really good at. So him
Yeah.
on a Transformers.
I mean, that
Yeah,
makes
that's
sense,
fire.
Right?
And it's gonna be good.
I
I mean,
agree.
what Ryan was talking about, I've seen like pictures of it, and Optimus looks fucking
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
Like he just looks grandiose and just
Yeah.
and it really looks like the IDW style, or it's either IDW or Dreamwave. I can't remember which one, but those are the ones,
previous
the previous
Transformers,
Transformer
yeah.
comics that they did. Dreamwave was before IDW, but they looked more like blocky. I think it's Dreamwave what I'm thinking
Yeah.
of, because IDW they look kind of different.
That's
But,
something about this style with Daniel Warren Johnson is like there will be moments where the first time I noticed it is like in the very beginning when all the Autobots and the Decepticons are getting revived in the
Yeah.
ship.
They're waking up.
Optimus gets like pinned down, and then Soundwave sends Ravage after him.
Yeah.
And Ravage like bites,
He bites
down
his arm.
and like even though it's metallic, it like looks like
Shrapnel.
skin.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
crinkles.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
it's like these guys are very blocky, very hard and rigid, and that's even like relevant to the story.
Yeah.
But like when damage is done to them, God, the gore in this book,
it's
even though it's all
ridiculous.
fucking, I'm wearing sunglasses.
Like
right
like even when they get when they
Even
get
cooler.
punched, like you can see the shockwave of the punch in
Yeah.
their face, but
Yeah.
it's still like plating that just like
The
moves,
impact-
Or
like,
I
Yeah.
mean, and this is skipping to like volume 2, but like when Starscream gets fucking usurped
Shit
and
on.
Yeah.
Soundwave
Yeah.
fucking,
Yeah.
like rips
Yeah.
into him,
and there's all the
See,
cords and
Yeah.
goo and
Yeah,
oil
yeah.
and
that's the same way
That's
with
like gore for
old
them.
with like
Yes.
old cartoons, is like they were able to get away with gore because it was mechanical, but they do that very well in this by like obviously if it were a fleshy creature, that would have been crazy what the hell they just did. Like he
Yeah.
literally just pulled out his guts.
Yes.
But
Straight
because
up.
they're mechanical, it's all just like circuits and everything and like
Yeah.
oil or whatever that bleeds out, but like their faces literally blow up, and it's just like once they're like looking at it, they're like looking into the panel, and all of a sudden it's just bam, and it just like disintegrates. But
I mean
like,
that the flashback scene with Alita 1 and her team.
Not flashback.
Yeah.
Oh my! Or that's not even a flashback.
That's not a-
No,
it's
it's
not-
just
so we were
it's
talking
literally-
about that.
It's
Right.
just two
Yeah.
Cybertron.
Yeah.
There's
But-
the
Man,
two
if-
different pink
Yes.
Autobots, and they
Yeah,
look
what the
very.
fuck is up with that?
They look
yeah,
similar.
Alita
except-
1 and RC.
Yeah, like the helmet design is completely different, but I
Right.
also thought it was
And
a
then RC
flashback at
has, like,
first.
It's the pink
More
one
white
with
parts.
spikes, and
Yeah.
the pink one with a samurai
With
on the
circle,
helmet, and the
yeah.
pink one with like smooth.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And she was just talking about Magnus earlier on, so I thought it was a flashback too.
For sure.
But man, I was like interested in those guys. I was like, man, I want a prequel
And
series.
they get more like attention in the upcoming volumes.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Yeah.
yeah,
So
Let's
props.
talk. Let's
yeah.
talk about the story from
I
issue
don't know.
1. If-
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
go through it.
Try to go in chronological order, but we can just
So
jump
much
around.
stuff happens. Yeah, I was trying to take notes this time through, and it's like there was just so
There's a
many.
lot.
Man, I
So
should have
many.
taken notes, but I
Um,
did not.
I got it all up here, baby.
Yes, sir.
As someone who doesn't consume Transformers, like this series does kind of just bring it into new readers in the modern age.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just fire.
So yeah, it's like I've watched Transformers 1, I've watched the Michael Bay movies and Bumblebee, and then I've
Yeah,
read this.
that's pretty
I've
much
not
it,
read
yeah.
I've not read anything else. I had a
not
few of
read
like
the
the
source
Star
material.
Wars
Dude, I've seen,
Transformers
like-
when I grew
I've
up.
seen 2 of them.
Oh my god, like the Death Star,
Yeah.
Darth Vader one.
I had the Millennium Falcon one
Yep.
and like one of the like an Anakin Starfighter one. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think I ever had an actual. Oh no, I think I did have a Bumblebee Transformer and then like a motorcycle one.
I had a Bumblebee. I forget his name, but in Revenge of the Fallen, the Michael Bay movie, like, do you remember the
second
red,
one, I think, yeah.
the red and the green guy, who were
yeah.
they were like the little square cars.
Right.
Racist guys.
Yes, yeah. So I had the green one, and he has like a gold tooth.
Nice.
But I had the
course.
green one, and I had a few. I had a combiner at one point. I think it was the
That's
Aerial
cool.
Bots, which are an Autobot one.
Just
But-
lots of them that combine together.
Yeah, it was
That's
like
cool.
it was like I think it's normally 6 little trans.
You mean like the Constructicons?
like Devastator?
Urge to
What?
Devastator?
Exactly,
Yeah.
And that
exactly
happens, and I'm like, who are these guys?
Yeah.
I know, right?
yeah.
Like,
You don't need to know. I feel like
You don't
a
need,
lot
yeah,
of it.
I mean, I think they play it pretty well in this one, where
Yeah.
like you don't need to know everybody
Yeah.
because they constantly say who they are, which is great
Yeah.
for people that don't enjoy it. But and then for people who are fans of it, it just hits even harder because you're just like, oh shit!
I mean,
Is
I
this-
get the point, right? I mean,
No,
but, like,
obviously.
we were talking about it a little bit before we started recording, but like when Beachcomber shows up and it's like, who the fuck
hell
is
is
Yeah.
this?
this?
Yeah.
I don't know
They all
anything
have
about
aura,
Beachcomber.
They all aura farm.
He's a
from a
surfer
metal
pacifist
planet.
guy.
Yeah, bro.
Like,
He's from
he's
a planet
pretty
with
cool,
no
man.
oceans, but he's born with the
But he
instincts
got
to
stuck
chill.
on the moon for literally millions of years. And,
Really?
Yeah,
that
it's
is
true.
crazy.
Yeah.
And then finally, when the Americans finally got on the moon, he was like,
He
"I
hitched
can't
a
get
ride.
out of here."
And NASA had no idea.
no, he
Yeah,
was just
seriously.
chilling.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't looking.
That was the dark side.
Let's
of the
get
moon.
into it though.
Yeah.
This. How does it even start? It starts
it's-
with the 2 humans.
starts with
Yeah,
Spike
so
and
Yeah,
Carly.
it
Yeah.
starts with Spike and Carly, and Spike and Carly are the human protagonists, so they're like our connection to the Autobots and all that.
and it
But-
shows right away. It shows Jimmy, right?
Yeah,
Getting-
Jimmy is Spike's older brother, who was an
Yeah.
astronaut, and he when on their launch, their spaceship blew up. So Jimmy is dead.
Yeah.
And so it's just Spike and then his dad, Sparky.
And Sparky's going through it. He's like
Crazy
Sparky,
name.
drunk
Sparky's
at a bar.
Vietnam vet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
He's
has
immediately-
PTSD. He's a
Yeah.
drunk, and he works.
He's
at,
been
like,
there since noon, just drinking.
Yeah, that's
Spike's
a big
looking
thing.
for him.
Spike is looking for him, and then he finds him, and then he's like, Dad, how long have you been here? Not long. And the bartender's
Yeah,
like, since noon,
since
Spike.
noon.
Yeah.
Heck
And
yeah.
he's like, well, shit.
And then
And
it
Spike's-
turns dark the next panel.
And yeah, and then
So,
it turns dark the
You,
next
you can
panel.
imagine how long he's been there.
Spike's going to look at the stars. Which,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty
and,
cool.
and his dad, Sparky, is like, why would you even want to remember him? Like,
Yeah.
we should
Yeah.
just forget and
we
move on.
need to move on. Yeah.
But it's like, clearly he's doing a really good job of
yeah.
forgetting.
He's
Yeah.
over it.
on.
He's over it.
He's
Yeah.
definitely
he's
forgetting.
so over
and,
it.
You know,
Water under
and
the
Spike
bridge.
wants to be an astronaut, just like his older brother.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so then him and Carly go out to this point where
Some
they
perch.
normally look at the stars.
Stargazing.
And then all of a sudden, an earthquake happens. Oh, and then this sets in motion.
This is like 2 pages in, by the way.
Yeah, right
and I
away.
was like,
yeah, we have not gone very far.
unlucky as hell.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
And all of a sudden there's a huge spaceship, which like I was confused by that. I'm like, how are they on a
I know.
cliff?
I had to
flat
look at. I had to
ground?
flip
Yeah,
back
but
really
then it
quick.
goes-
And
yeah.
then
the
and then
spaceship
it
that's
Earth,
protruding
yes,
out.
and then
Yeah.
and
It
there's
looks like
no
it's jutting
rocks
out,
or
yeah.
rubble
Yeah.
inside of the jet,
Not
like inside of
necessarily.
the, whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
I think the jet is like I think what happened was like the jet crash lands and then rocks just like form around it.
Right.
And the boosters are kind of like in a little cavern.
Right.
It looks like. And so
They
the
got,
rest
like,
of the ship is
revealed.
all underground, but like the
Yeah.
boosters are out of it.
Just
Sure.
the end of it. It's
And
like,
then so Carly and Spike sneak in through the
actual
thrusters.
jets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
The
And they
thrusters.
crawl through,
Uh-huh.
and then they see just this like battlefield of a bunch of giant metal beings that
Yeah.
are just dead.
bunch of dead robots.
Bunch of dead robots,
Big
and they're all
dead
strewn
robots.
apart.
Big,
So
So
giant.
then, oh sorry, no, you
Jetfire wakes him up.
Yes.
How was like? Did they just set him on like reserve power before or something? You think
So-
it's like how does he have energy?
No,
I don't
he
know.
was
So
on
that-
like a side mission.
Yes,
Yeah, he
so
escaped before the
Jetfire,
war.
If
Oh, okay.
So,
That
so
makes
this,
more sense.
This universe that's called the Energon universe, and it's Transformers, G.I. Joe, and a new series called Void Rivals. Void Rivals takes place like in outer space, but in the first issue of Void Rivals, these two aliens who are like basically humans, but so they're the same size, but they get stranded on a planet, and they meet Jetfire on the planet. And
Oh.
Jetfire he crash landed on a planet, and he
From
has been-
Cybertron?
yes.
Okay.
So, right. I guess if we want to go a little further back, before
He just leaves Cybertron before the war.
Okay.
yeah,
Right.
Jetfire
Oh,
left
before the
Cybertron
war,
before
straight
the
up.
war
Oh, okay.
because
They
they're-
knew the planet was fucked.
Yes.
Yes.
And the war started like 200 years ago, right? They say later, I think.
Over
I think they
100.
say
Over-
hundreds
yeah,
of years.
I would
hundreds of
say
years.
over
Hundreds.
100, but probably less than 200.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Well,
I think
yeah.
they say hundreds.
It's been going on for a very long
The
time.
way
Yeah.
I took it was the war has been going on for 100 years, but Jetfire left hundreds of years
Yeah.
before.
Okay.
He
So
left.
it's all within 1,000 years.
He left
you know?
before the civil war between Decepticons and
Yes.
Autobots happened.
Right.
Sure.
So
okay.
he
And
left.
that's pivotal.
we don't
Yes,
get to know any of that, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
it says it.
Well,
throughout the,
like,
but we don't
They
see
barely say it.
it barely says it, but if
I
you,
got it.
I've read Void Rivals up until
We got the expert
volume
here.
3, so like you do learn how like where Jetfire has been, and when he first wakes up, he like has like wind corrosion on him, and
Okay.
that doesn't happen for millions of years. So he literally says he's
Interesting.
like,
Gotcha.
"Holy shit, I've been asleep for a long time," and like
Okay,
then he's
so
like,
even he was like also in like hibernation mode
yeah,
or something. Okay.
because
Well,
yeah.
when you say millions of years, they probably said a millennia, which is 1,000 years,
Well-
which
I
is
don't know.
like an order of magnitude, a few orders of magnitude.
Well,
less
the
than
the Autobots landed pre-humans. They landed when dinosaurs on the Earth. So no, they say millions of
Okay.
years.
Okay, sure.
Oh,
So
shit.
the Autobots
yeah,
have
okay.
been asleep on the planet since the dinosaurs.
with
Sure.
the Decepticons.
Man.
With the Decepticons, but they've all just been in a like half-dead stasis.
Yeah, they went to
And-
sleep
Because they're basically immortal.
Yes,
Like,
Right.
which is
They just gotta
which
get
is a very
fixed.
big thing
Yes.
of like Autobot. Transformers are basically immortal because one, they're machines, so they don't really need to eat except for the Energon, which is the fuel that powers them
Their
all.
energy.
But as long as they have a source of Energon, and they're not like completely broken, and
Yeah.
they have like
they sometimes need like specific metals.
yes,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
but sometimes they can also just get any metal and they
Right.
can fix themselves as long as the damage isn't too severe.
Yeah.
And
Is Energon a Transformers thing? Because I know this is the Energon universe.
Yes.
But is Energon always been a thing?
that's always been a Transformer.
Because that's
thing.
what they were mining on Cybertron,
Yes,
right?
in
In
the
Transformers
original,
1, all I
in
know.
the original Gen 1 cartoon,
Miners.
miners. In the original Gen 1 cartoon, if I don't know how many of you have seen it, but there's these big like cubes of like pink shit, and that's
it's pink in
Energon.
that one.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
pink, and it's just like this liquid that they drink. But it comes,
Yummy.
it's basically an energy source.
Pepto-Bismol.
Yeah, it's just Pepto Bismol that they all drink, and it's just this source of energy that they can make from literally anything, any sort
Yeah.
of resource.
Yeah,
they can
they get
turn it
into
into
that.
Energon, but they get varying amounts of it depending on the resource.
Sure.
So normally it's from energy. Sometimes they can mine it so it has a physical form. Sometimes it's more a liquid form.
Sometimes some guy's dad crawls into like
Yeah,
a portal.
sometimes some
Yeah.
dude, like just some random guy
straight
crawls
energy.
into something
Sometimes
and it
your
turns
dad
into
becomes
energy.
power.
Optimus Prime.
Human
like-
And then,
energy,
and then he
though.
kind of corrupts him a little, you know.
I know, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
what
so-
is that? the
Sometimes
flashes
your
are
Slow down.
PTSD, grief, drunken dad just
It's fire.
fuels Optimus Prime.
Which we'll
Yeah.
get to later.
They okay, yeah.
We
so
gotta move on. We're not even one issue in.
Jet,
Oh, yeah,
We're not
okay.
even
Jetfire
We got too into Jetfire.
wakes up the Autobots, but he also wakes up a couple of Decepticons.
the bad guys.
And Starscream instantly wakes up and shoots Jetfire just
Yes.
No,
instantaneously.
shoots Bumblebee on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
Dead.
does he do that
Bumblebee's
first?
dead.
Yeah.
Your
Bumblebee gets
favorite yellow guy
exploded.
is gone.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like I don't think it was necessarily aimed right towards him. I think he had like an explosive blast and just happened to hit right next to him, right?
No,
Was
he
it direct
was-
blast?
He was
literally
executing
like,
him,
he
bro.
was like,
It was targeted.
That
thank
shit
you.
was
Bam,
intentional.
bro.
Daniel
Right.
Warren Johnson said, "Oh, I know you guys like this guy. I know you guys like
He's
this
like,
guy."
well, guess what? I don't.
Yeah, for real.
And then
He's
he
very
just killed
popular,
himself.
I want to use the red
We're
one.
gonna use
this time.
Cliff
I'm gonna
Jumper.
use red Bumblebee.
Yeah.
What is that?
They created like several.
Never heard of Cliff Jumper in my life, but I love him now.
He's epic.
No, he's great.
So Optimus and Ratchet fight Starscream and Skywarp, which
Yes.
is already like for those of us that have not read too much Transformers,
It's
it's
already,
already,
like, who
getting
is
a
who?
Who are
little
these
bit
people?
messed
Skywarp?
up.
Skywarper's a purple
Skywarp?
Starscream, and then there's a
Yes,
blue one that you
exactly.
find out later.
And that's
Okay,
the problem.
To put into context before you guys call us ignorant, we us three don't really consume Transformers like that.
Yeah, we're talking
and then
about
we
that
have a
song.
resident expert.
We have a-
I love Transformers, and there's this guy. Shout out to his YouTube is Chris McFeely, but I get
covers
all of his.
The lore drops.
It's all lore. It's just lore like about singular characters and their entire history, the history about the toys, the history of Cybertron, the history of the original company from Japan, Diaclone,
Interesting.
which then turns.
I think I watched his video on Soundwave because I was like,
Oh, did
"This
you?
motherfucker?"
He's
Yeah.
the Transformer historian.
Yes, basically.
He was there.
But I've seen a ton of his videos, and so I know a fair amount of Transformers.
So yeah, they
lore.
execute Bumblebee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
so
I watched Chris
anyways,
McFeely's video on Soundwave. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Fire. So Starscream and Skywarp are both planes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Ratchet's like is he the ambulance?
Yeah, he's in.
Yeah,
That's just an ambulance.
Ratchet's
so
an ambulance. He's the
those
medic.
are the
He's the
first
medic,
ones.
yeah.
They luck out that it happens to be a 2v2. It's like none of
Yeah.
them wake up in drastic larger numbers. But most of the people are still laying on the ground with no sign that they have enough Energon to get up.
Right.
And they revive them through
later.
a computer called Teletran
Yeah, and,
1.
and they're kind of trying to do it while they're fighting. They're on a ship called the Ark. We later find out it's called the Ark, and so they're both kind of trying to like revive their dudes while fighting each other, which
Yeah.
is kind of interesting because it's like all of our dudes are right here, good and bad, and we both need this thing to revive them. So it's like this is capture the point. And
Capture the point.
and Optimus,
King of the Hill.
Optimus and Ratchet do not win that shit. And the two kids, Spike and his friend Carly, are just there, just like
They're just
spectating.
watching this.
Fucking-
Yeah.
yeah,
They're like
the
this
Watcher,
shit-
But they,
man.
What the hell?
They do throw Optimus a lob though.
They do help.
Yeah, they
And-
do. They help out.
Optimus instantly is like, "Get me behind me, little ones." It's like he's instantly like, I
He's
don't
a
know if these
protector.
guys are like little messed up freaks,
Well,
but I'm gonna help them anyway. I'm
So-
gonna protect them.
So Jetfire, he's not really like a neutral third party, but he's like an ignorant third party. He doesn't know
Yeah,
that
yeah,
the
exactly.
war
He's
has
not sure,
happened.
yeah.
He turns on the computer, which starts indiscriminately reviving anyone in the
Randos.
place, which is both Autobots and Decepticons. Just based off of luck, more Decepticons start getting revived.
Yeah.
So they have the upper hand. Optimus is getting fucked, and two humans push his big ass gun into his grasp because they see him.
They see him trying to reach for it.
Well,
Yeah.
they see him mourn Bumblebee. They see him cradle
Yeah.
Bumblebee's
Yes.
dead body, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I
They
connect
see
with
the
that.
humanity.
Like, he has humanity."
He cares at least
Right.
about his
So when he
comrades.
starts getting dogpiled, literally dogpiled, because
Yeah.
Ravage is on.
'Cause
him,
Ravage
Soundwave
fucking bites his arm.
They push his gun into him. He's able to fight off all the other ones, and then he also sees them and is like, "Oh, little helpless creatures, let me defend them." So that's
And
like
then they
I
roll
think-
out.
I think he defends.
transform and
I think he
roll.
defends them first, and Carly specifically says we don't know which side they're on, but
Yeah.
I think because they
Exactly.
saw specifically Spike saw the humanity in him.
Yeah.
He
Yes. Spike
was
was like,
like,
"We gotta
"All
help
right,
him."
Give him the gun.
give him his
the
gun.
gun.
Yeah, they saw him cradling Bumblebee, and then
Yeah,
he gets
and he
fucked up,
defends
and then
them.
Carly is like, "We don't know what side
Yeah,
they're on," and
and
Spike's
Spike's
like,
like,
"Push the fucking
Yeah,
gun."
yeah,
Like,
give
come
it to
on.
him. Yeah.
He needs it.
He just
gonna
want-
die.
He just wants to see him fight.
He's gonna be my dad in a few issues.
and Jetfire also pretty quickly picks up on it and helps Optimus get out of there in his. And I think it's interesting because they say that they are giving them forms that the humans would recognize.
Jetfire says that, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
when he first revives him, he's like, "Oh, let me give you guys forms that like you can blend in."
but then
Which
what's
is just vehicles.
which I
Yeah,
might be
those
wrong.
cameras,
What I feel like there was maybe a flashback to Cybertron where he's turning into a truck. But I think
Well,
it was still when I was confused
the-
and thought it was a
so-
flashback and
yeah.
it wasn't. I don't know.
So any of the ones that were stuck on Cybertron, they did have like vehicle modes, but they were like Cybertronian
Okay,
vehicle
okay.
modes. So they look a little different, and so some of them like, you know, they still have, because later on, like you see a guy who basically looks like he would be a cop car, and he probably
Right.
he probably does turn into a cop car,
Right,
but
yeah.
it's like an alien
Slightly
looking cop
different.
car.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
That's
like-
probably what it was.
Elita 1, when she comes through the portal from Cybertron,
Yeah.
even though she looks exactly like RC,
Yeah.
RC has this like sports car, very Earth
Right.
looking.
Yeah.
But
And she's-
Elita has like
she's a motorcycle, right?
It's a motorcycle,
a
but
light
it's like
bike,
it's
kind
like
of
it's
like-
like a Tron bike where
Right.
it has like
Yeah.
the dome cover.
Yeah,
it
yeah,
has
yeah.
like a
like you
cockpit
never see
windshield.
that. You would never see that on Earth.
Right.
But obviously,
I didn't even
it's
notice
still
that,
very
yeah.
like vehicle.
Like it is a
inspired.
slim
Yeah.
two-wheeled vehicle.
Yeah,
you
but
could
it
call
doesn't
it a
look like
motorcycle.
a- yeah.
but it's
But
like
it's
You're
it's
right,
much
you're
high tech and
Cybertronian.
stuff,
You know. Yeah. It's a. I learned they're called alt forms. That's the vehicle.
Okay.
And robot forms. Those are the
That's
fan
robots like the
designations.
Cybertronic
Yes.
version or
Yes.
something.
And
Okay.
they do talk about it. They
Right.
do talk about that in the
Yeah.
comic too, like alt form, because well, I won't talk about it, but
So
Jetfire
then
gets
later on.
stuck.
He-
Is that like a thing? Is Jetfire like the guy who gets stuck as a plane? Is that like his thing?
Jetfire.
No, it was a later
I'm gonna
one.
be
It was a
honest.
different guy, right?
No, that is.
No, that's Jetfire.
That was
Jetfire.
Jetfire?
Yeah.
That's so fucked up.
No, yeah,
I didn't notice that.
He gets too damaged, and
Man.
he is literally only stuck in his alt form.
And he
that's
can't
so messed
move
up.
or see on
Nope.
his own.
Okay.
Somebody has to pilot him.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
But I was just asking, like, because
Yeah.
like every character's got a gimmick. Is
Right.
Jetfire's gimmick that he is stuck in plane mode?
I'm gonna be
or-
honest.
No, he's not.
I don't know too much about him. So he's one of those characters that I'm sure has very differing depictions in each one. Like I know in the Bayverse movies, he's literally an old, like he in Revenge. I think Revenge of the Fallen, but he's that old like World War II like bomber plane that they revived from a museum.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
So
he
that
farts on
has
camera.
like kind of
That's fire.
connections to this version.
Yes. Man,
where
I
he's
don't-
like older and he left and he's a, you know what I mean? Like,
and he's
yeah.
very kind of like disconnected from the current
Right.
Transformers and what
Yes.
they're doing.
So yeah, but he helps Ratchet and Optimus get out of there. They shove all of the Autobots into
Into a
I don't know
trailer.
where it came from, but there's
Yeah.
a trailer for
Yeah.
Optimus
Because-
to
And when you were
hook
talking
on
about
to.
like, well, I saw him as a truck in a flashback. I'm like, do they have trailers on Cybertron too? Like they
Could
must
be.
have.
So
right?
he knew.
Yeah.
He's just like there
The-
should be a. Oh yeah, it's right there. It's like
So
oh,
yeah, so the
interesting.
original, the original Optimus Prime toy obviously came with his battle trailer or whatever it's
battle
called.
trailer.
And so when you see it open up and like when he's got like the little like buggy in there and that little like arm that's there, like that was part of the
oh
toy.
yeah, the weapon arm was in there.
So
okay,
that's a
that's
part
fire.
of the toy, and that's why. So that has always been like with Optimus. But
That's cool.
I think
I see,
in the
I see.
comic is because Jetfire made him to be like earthly vehicles. His vehicle is obviously a semi truck, and they normally have trailers. So he's always had the trailer. But you know, it's just a little different in this one.
Yeah,
and
for
so
sure.
they knew it was there. They just didn't know where it was, and then bam, there's a trailer there.
Sure.
So yeah, so basically they're on the run now. The Autobots have lost the control the point and are out of there.
Yeah.
And Starscream and who's the other one that wakes up?
Skywarp.
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 Skywarp and
Soundwave.
Soundwave.
Those
Not
three
Thundercracker,
are like
yeah,
the
he can
original
play.
Decepticon
Yeah.
gang.
They start setting up base there, but they're like, "Oh, we're out of Energon to revive everybody." So they send out one of them, Soundwave. I think they send out.
They send
to
out Starscream
find
first.
Energon, yeah. They found Energon at, of course, Sparky.
Sparky's power
Spike-
plant that he works at.
Why are they all S names? Spike's dad, Sparky, gets found
yeah, I don't
by
know. That-
Skyscream.
I'm pretty sure that's
Sparky is short
is a
for
s-
spark plug. Let it be known. I did my
Spark
fucking
plug.
research.
yeah,
Interesting.
that's what they're called in the original Gen 1, and that's just what they stuck with.
But anyway, he works at a like oil mining rig. So that's where they're finding the
It's
energy.
just like it's a power plant.
It's a power
Yeah.
plant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not necessarily oil mining.
Maybe they
but it's
don't
a-
mention oil mining. I
it's
don't
a-
know.
it's a power-
Later, I
So
feel like
it's,
it comes
it's a
up.
power plant, and like later on, like they go to a dam. But so
Yeah,
the power
right.
Sure,
plant,
it's hydropower. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So so
They need
like,
energy.
Like I was talking about earlier, Energon is like can be used from any sort of kind of like power source. So Soundwave
And nature, they were
and
saying.
nature,
Yeah,
yes.
just
So
like any raw material
life
with
force,
the-
raw
yeah.
material they can turn into Energon. But so Soundwave is like me and Skywarp are like still very low on Energon, so we need you, Starscream, to go and like we found a possible
That's
source.
right.
So
Yeah.
we need you to go, and
He was
Starscream
mad about it.
Starscream goes, yeah, he's pissed off about it. He's like, I gotta do
decided
everything
he's the
myself.
leader. He's decided Megatron is out of the picture.
Megatron's
Whenever
gone.
someone
I'm the
mentions
leader.
it, he's like, shut
Don't
the fuck up.
say
He's not
his
real.
name.
Don't
Yeah.
mention his name.
Yeah, he shall not be named. You know.
He's dead now. I'm the leader.
Yeah, he just
That's
takes
basically
over.
how we
Dude,
said-
okay, so it's something I really loved about the writing of this. Daniel Warren Johnson, like especially with the Decepticons, where they're all like threats, but they're
So
kind
much
of goofy.
infighting.
I had a different voice for every single guy. When it's Soundwave, it's like
We must do this for the Decepticon race.
Yeah.
when it's
Starscream is probably
Starscream is like
he's like
yeah, he's like
scratchy and
do what
just,
I say because I'm in charge now. And then for Skywarp, I had like this jock voice where he's like, "Hey, little humans, like
Yeah.
you want to
Yeah.
come fucking play?" Like I had like a different voice.
That's pretty spot on already to
Yeah.
what they actually are. And so Starscream goes to the power plant, and
Yes, sir.
then he learns about humans for the first time. And oh boy, does he have a jolly old time with them.
Instantly.
Instantly sees this little guy and he
Grabs him.
Yo, hey, we're
What's
fucking
up?
podcasting here. Why do you?
What's up?
squishing just people.
He grabs Davey, who is Sparky's friend, and Davey's being like, yo, you need to be there for your son and everything. And Sparky's like, whatever, man. And then
Fuck
instantly
you.
picked up, squished, and blood goes everywhere, too. This is not like a kid's book, which you wouldn't expect it to be, really.
They say shit
necessarily.
and fuck, dude.
They say damn.
Well,
They say
they,
damn.
yeah, because they
They
cuss
say
out
sparking.
They say ass and damn, bro.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Spark, damn it.
Spark. Damn it.
Spark it all.
They're
Spark it.
But yeah, instantly you see Davey get squished into guts and gore.
And that's
straight
that's
up.
Carly's dad, right?
That
Yep.
is Carly's dad.
But we don't know
come
that.
to find out.
Oh yeah,
But we
we
don't
find
know
out
that.
later.
Find
This
out.
is a fucking podcast, not a read along.
So we then go on to somebody, Optimus and them in the woods.
Oh, that's issue 2, right?
It's just
I think we've
That's
been
just
in
where
issue
we're at in
two.
the story.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, we're
My
just
bad,
going.
My bad.
Optimus in the woods, and then
he's got his wood on in the
I mean,
woods.
if you want to talk about that real quick, like I wanted to mention the parallel between Starscream finding about like the fragility of Earth and Optimus finding out the fragility of
true.
Earth.
That's where it
so
goes to.
Starscream is obviously very like happy that these things are so squishy.
weaker
and you can kill them.
beings is what he
Weakening,
says. Yeah.
And then Optimus, you see him like he's in the forest and he's like just basking in the beauty of it, and he's like, "This is so," and he accidentally steps on a deer, and you know he obviously kills it.
Yes.
And which, by the way,
Just crazy.
which is
kinda.
funny that deers, obviously, they deer in headlights, but like this.
Whoa.
Here's this giant thing walking around,
Yeah.
doesn't move, and then
That
just
is crazy.
Splat.
Well,
But he's like
'Cause he's a
sad
car.
about it, and he like picks it up. He's
Well-
like, oh my god, I had no idea.
I think that says something too about Optimus Prime's like gentleness too. It's like he's
Right.
not being a loud, disruptive force, so the deer doesn't even really
He doesn't
notice
right,
he's there.
Yeah, and
huge character moment.
Yeah, but it's-
massive,
it's-
especially when
yeah.
juxtaposed against Starscream's
Yeah.
first interaction
Yeah.
with this world's life
Yeah.
and the fragility of it.
And
just kill,
yeah.
kill.
And Spike sees Optimus crush the deer, and then
Yeah.
and then also like cradle it and
Yeah.
be like, "Ah, shit, man!" Like and like mourn it in the same way that he mourned Bumblebee. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's reinforcing the humanity of this big metal robot to the human ride along character.
Yeah.
very much an Iron Giant style thing. And yes,
Yeah.
Spike's
Yeah, for
instantly
sure.
like, "Hey, dude, it was an accident. I
I
could
saw
tell."
the whole thing.
You know, and still Optimus Prime is just like, "Still, I didn't realize that there were so many like squishy beings here, or something. Or
Yeah.
I didn't realize the
Squishy,
fragility of
fragile.
your
And I
world."
think, and this is something that Optimus, like, kind of his main motivation to defend Earth is like, he's like, I brought the war here.
Yeah.
This world is not even nearly ready for a war on this scale.
Yeah.
Clearly, because I killed one of the natural inhabitants
Just
just
by
by
stepping
walking
on it.
You
Yeah.
know, and so. Like, I think that's immediately, like, it hits him. He's like, oh, me just maneuvering around killed a beautiful creature. We brought our war. Like, our
Yeah.
deadly planet-ending war to this world. It's fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And so, yeah, he's kind of explaining to Spike about his name and where he got the Prime from. And he also mentions, this is when we find out, he says, after hundreds of years of war, pretty much, he's talking about, that's all he says is hundreds of years. He's talking about right before they left, Megatron extinguished the spark. And that's all he says, which we, can estimate that it's all spark, like something like that. But they don't really explain
Something.
what that means, but he's just telling that to Spike straight up.
For sure. And then for them, like, the next step is to find energy, just like the Decepticons. but
Right.
in
That's both of their missions. Like in the first volume, is like we need a source of Energon.
Yeah,
But-
and they're both in bad places, and since they lost, they just have this little encampment in the woods, and that's
Right.
all it is.
Yeah.
nothing.
The Decepticons get the energy first. When Starscream goes to the power plant and he kills, like,
Davey.
who's Sparky's friend and Carly's dad, they have this, like, big battery that was on the Ark. The Autobots were going to use it, most likely, but they took it
It's
and they
empty.
filled it up.
So, yeah. And
Yeah.
it's a
But
converter.
It's a containment.
Converter, right.
Yeah,
And so
Yeah.
and so the three Autobots that are alive, Starscream and then Soundwave and Skywarp, they're able to
Decepticons.
refill, but they're also able to use it to power Teletran and start. Well, actually, no. Optimus shoots Teletran. He's like, "I'm sorry, my friend," and he shoots him,
Yeah.
or shoots it. And that's before they escape. So they need to repair it as
Right.
well. And after sending Skywarp on a few missions and
Yeah.
him just failing, Starscream and Soundwave are like, well, we need Cybertronian metal and
It's
technology
so
to
messed
repair
up.
this thing.
And we've got
They
a
just
walking source of it
rip
right
him in
here.
half.
Yeah.
They show him by the face, right? Like through the nose, like him dragging him, like,
Yeah.
you're coming with me, dude.
Yep.
It's messed up.
Because he gets battle damaged, and then so he's like, well, I need repairs, and they're like, well, we can't repair you without Cybertronian technology. You are made of it. They rip him in half, turn him into Teletran, and it's like crazy. You see like his it's like a bust of him, like torso up, and it's like his face, but like not his face. It's like kind of blank,
Yeah.
And
this is after the whole encounter where like Optimus beats the fuck out of him.
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
That's
and
when
then
they
Spike
have
gets,
like a fight.
gets shot.
Yeah, so
He gets shot.
there's the military is at Sparky's job now, trying to figure out what's going on, and he's like, "Dude,
It's
we need to
not
call the
even-
military." You're right. Yeah, it's
It was just detectives.
It's police.
Yeah, and then
and he's like, "We need to get the military here now." And then it's like all of them start
and
showing up
a lot
again.
of the people in the town are veterans, so they have like military gear, and they kind of hole up in the bar that Sparky would go to drink. And then that's when Skywarp comes, and that's when he's doing
just
his mission.
lands on people.
And then Optimus shows up, and then they start fighting. And in the crossfire of these people trying to fight off Skywarp, they also don't know that Optimus is like a good guy. So one of them has a rocket launcher and just shoots at his arm, and then Skywarp like shoots it off even more. But one of my favorite scenes is then when Optimus is like, "No more! I'm sick of this," and he just rips the arm off and uses it as a
beat the
fucking
fuck out of
weapon.
Skywarp.
So
cool.
The humans and the humans come to arrive at this battle, and they've already seen, because it was Cliff Jumper. Cliff Jumper kind of has this.
Yeah, he just jumps out of nowhere. Dude.
Right.
Who is it that's staying back to heal him? Ratchet maybe
Ratchet.
brings him back.
at this
But
point.
literally, Cliff Jumper is just like, "Hey guys," he just shows up.
Hey,
you know?
And Cliff Jumper
Yeah.
is like tiny. He's like damn
he's
near
a little red
human
dude.
size.
Yeah.
And he has this friendship with Carly, who's a human. And so when Cliff Jumper shows up to like make sure Carly is safe after she kind of like goes off on her own, and she gets followed by one of Soundwarp's like little
Laserbeak.
animal guys, Laserbeak, the like pterodactyl one. Skywarp or fucking
Soundwave.
Jesus Christ. Soundwave. No, not even Soundwave. Cliff Jumper shows up to Jesus Christ. Cliff Jumper shows up to make sure Carly is safe when she's with all the humans. All the humans are ready for battle, and they start shooting him, and he's like, "Ow, please don't do that." So they should already know that some of these guys are good, some of these guys are bad, but they're dumb humans. So they shoot.
I mean,
Optimus gets his arm shot by Skywarp. Optimus starts beating the shit out of Skywarp, and then the humans show up and shoot him in the arm again. And then he rips off his arm. He just grabs his fist and rips it off. But he doesn't even rip it off at the part where it's injured, which is like on his bicep.
It's like his elbow.
He rips it the whole arm off and just starts beating the shit
It's a weapon,
out of
man.
him.
Like
Oh my
spinning
God.
it and just slaps it on him. It's so great. But so then after that, obviously Skywarp is damaged, and that's when he goes back, and then
But
Soundwave.
really quick, during that encounter, one of the people shoots Spike.
Yeah.
Spike gets
Yes,
shot
that's right.
because the humans can't put their fucking prejudice away. They're like big robot shoot, and they don't know how to aim away from the kid, I guess.
It's the military that hits him. Yeah, not one of the
Well, not
boss
necessarily the
even.
military, but the humans, the civilians that are ready for
right.
battle.
The
Right.
human
And,
militia.
yeah.
But the military is there. They send in 2 fighter planes.
Yes.
Or one or something.
was-
and one of them ejects out in the parachute, instantly gets clapped.
Yeah,
Dude,
that
that's
was that was a little earlier when
lots of stuff happens.
Yeah,
so
that's
fast.
like the power plant.
that was when
That was at the power
Starscream,
plant.
when just Starscream was at the power
Yeah.
plant, and like they were
Reconnaissance.
literally just doing like a training flight, and then they call them in, they're like, "Hey, we got some shit going on."
Yeah.
Like at this power plant, and then they start flying over there, and then they're like, "Oh, we got a bogey coming in," and that's when they see Starscream in the fighter jet. But
Yep.
Yeah.
because they look like human aircraft, they're like, "Is that one of ours?"
Yeah.
And it starts firing at them, and then they get into a whole little dogfight. But because it's a robot who doesn't feel G-force, he can do like crazy
messed up
maneuvers
stuff.
around them.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
he turns into his
And then he
robot
turns into the
form. Yeah.
robot form.
Yeah.
Yes, and
And
then
just
he like
swats-
he's literally like shout out to I can't even shout him out, but the letterer, I forget his name, but is amazing. And literally every time like
We
some
were
shit
talking about
happens, Like it
called-
just goes slap.
So it's called
Yeah.
it's called onomatopoeia. And
Russ
yeah, it is.
Wuton.
Yeah,
Russ
He's
Wuton.
great.
I was gonna bring
The
that up
letterer.
too, especially in this dogfight. It's nonstop. Every plane has a whirring sound behind it. Every boom. It's like that's something that I don't know if the next artist you guys were talking about. I wonder if they'll keep that over.
Well, they're
onomatopoeia
keeping the
helps
letterer.
so much. Okay, well, I don't know how much.
Speaking
is,
of the
is
letter-
onomatopoeia lettering or is that in the art? You think
I
it's
think
probably
it's-
a mix.
I think
It's. I
I
mean,
think
they
it's
have
part-
to
I think
work
it's
gotta
part
be
of
the
lettering,
art,
yeah.
But
It's
I think
gotta
it's.
be the
I think it's
art.
letterer. I think
I
it's
don't-
because that's
yeah.
their job. They're the letterer.
But-
you
Yeah,
know.
they do the wording.
But
so
it's so like, and I'll pull it up in.
But they're-
editing.
yeah, they all
But it's
have,
like
like-
stuff like this. It's
they
like,
all have like a texture, and
Yeah.
like they all fit
Like it's part
the
of
scene
the
that's
art.
going
It's-
on.
it's
I
so
think it's gotta be
embedded.
the letterer, though.
It's so embedded.
But
yeah.
something
It's great.
Something about these first two volumes, I love when they use the Transformer onomatopoeias. It's like
yeah, when you see it,
you need
Yeah, I mean,
it.
it is exactly like
like
what it
that.
sounds
That's the
like.
noise.
It is
That's the noise that it
exactly
makes.
it.
Yeah,
For
How'd
an,
they put that into letters? That's weird.
for an action
tongue,
based.
slap, crunch,
Yeah.
The Cthulhu.
Cthulhu. When he smacks.
That's
the
a
guy.
classic. That's a
That's
comic
a
book
classic
classic.
comic book, and I never understood what it like is supposed to sound. What is a
It's
thum?
just like a landing, a
Right.
shockwave, I guess.
They always use crackacoom, and I'm like, what does that sound? What does that mean?
Yeah.
That is not what I imagine fucking a magic sound like. You know what I mean?
I mean, it can.
Krakatoa.
Yeah, Krakatoa.
But yeah, it's like nonstop and it's so good and it brings a lot more life to this
Energy,
action packed
life to it.
thing
Yeah.
and movement. It brings a lot to the movement of things
Yes,
too.
that's yeah.
You know?
The artists. I mean, Daniel Ward Johnson and
Yes, so good.
Jorge Corona. Like they're so expressive with all of the movements. Like everybody, while being these blocky metal people, are so fluid in their movements. So it's still just blends so
They're just-
well together.
They are living people.
I had a little bit of
Organic.
trouble at first reading some of the action, especially
Yeah.
the big splash pages. I'm like,
The thick lines and everything. It's
Yeah.
kind of hard to follow who's punching who.
everyone is made of colored squares. You know
Yeah.
what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
When everyone is a different assortment of rectangular prisms, it's like, well, it's kind of hard. I don't know any of these guys that well, you know?
And you can't not bring up that Starscream is red, white, and blue like Optimus, you know?
right,
It's
but
like,
just in different spots.
and when it's when it's closer up and they're fighting, it is harder to tell sometimes.
like you'll
And
see
they-
two
sure.
blue hands, and you're
Yeah.
like, who's that?
When the
Yeah.
humans are first meeting up and kind of like catching each other up on the info and they
Yeah.
know about
It's like-
these robots that have
Yeah.
arrived, they're like, was there a gray and red jet? And I'm like, they're all gray and red jets.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
But
Some
they're
of-
talking about Starscream,
And
but
literally,
they all look
Sparky's like,
that.
what the
Yeah.
hell are
Yeah.
you talking about?
Yeah. So then, and the other dude in the jet that doesn't get clapped is badass. He's got I don't know if he shows up later or not. He
legit.
doesn't within
He
these
doesn't.
issues.
You
His
know-
name's
He
Duke.
will.
You know, yeah.
His name's Duke.
That's
Duke with
G.I.
the
Joe.
jetpack.
And he's G.I. Joe for
That's
real?
Duke,
Okay.
yeah, Jake from
but
G.I.
dude,
Joe.
One
he
of
does
the
a
backup-
flip, shoots Starscream in the
With
eye.
a flare
With a
gun.
flare gun.
With
Yeah.
a flare gun,
Yeah.
and then he gets out scot
And then he
free, and
leaves.
the guy's just like, "Where'd he go? Fuck!"
Yeah.
And it's just like,
And he's like,
"That was
"Yeah,
so
I'm fired."
badass."
He's like,
Okay.
whatever,
That
you're
was
going to
cool.
die anyway.
But yeah,
How
so
can
that-
you G.I. Joe when his
Backpack,
name's
bro.
Joe? First name G.
But,
Last name I.
fucking
G.I. Joe is the unit name.
the backup story for that issue is for Duke's like solo series.
Probably
No,
it's so
It's a
sick,
preview
though.
to his solo.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, this-
Which,
so
if
they-
you don't know, G.I. Joe's part of the Energon universe,
Right.
so it's all in the
And
same canonical.
It's a whole
world.
thing.
Duke and Cobra Commander had their own little 4-part miniseries, and Scarlet and Destro before the actual G.I. Joe line started. So that was going on while Transformers was coming out. And G.I. Joe didn't start coming out till later because they're on like issue 8 now, I think. Well, this one's on 21, so it's been going
Yeah.
on for
Yeah.
quite a
Since
bit more.
2023.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so yes, that guy was it. But obviously, if you don't give a shit about
just
G.I. Joe,
badass.
you
It's
don't
just-
know
it's
who
just
that
badass.
is.
They just highlighted his name.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
all
you
I
see his
know.
name, like
Yeah,
a
I just
panel
wrote
like
down
shows his
Duke.
name tag and says Duke. But if you don't know who the
And
fuck Duke is,
And
then
speaking of the splash pages, Optimus turns into truck form and absolutely blasts into Skywarp. And
Oh,
it's
there's
a-
oh, I
you.
love that. Yeah,
It's a 2-page
Yeah.
across, gorgeous,
That is
gorgeous
so
piece
wild.
of
There's
the-
a
That's
couple
so
moments
wild.
where,
Piece of
like, yeah, someone is in their
Fantastic.
vehicle form and they just
Bam.
crash T-bone a
Yeah.
robot.
And it's fire
It's
every
fucking
time.
awesome.
yeah. But back to where we were. So
Spike gets shot.
Spike gets shot.
Sure.
And then like the
Gotta
humans
get
are
moving.
like, hold your fire. and then that's when I think.
Yeah, Sparky's like, guys.
Yeah, Sparky's
Shut
like,
up,
wait a
guys.
minute, my son.
That's my son.
And then Skywarp and Optimus finish their fight. Skywarp goes back to the Decepticons, gets ripped in half and turned into Teletran 1. And then Optimus is, he's back with the Autobots. He's missing an arm. And then that's when Ratchet is like, look, man, we need everyone to be tip-top form, especially you. And we have another arm for you. And then they open up his trailer, and then he's like, I can't fucking use this,
Dude, it's so dope though.
And then come to
crazy.
find out, it's Megatron's giant ass blaster arm that gets attached to Optimus.
Optimus, within like 2 panels, he goes from like, no, I vowed I would never use this, to like, Ratchet's
how about we go on the offensive?
Ratchet's like, hey guys, I think I found a way to like fix some of you guys. And then he's like, all right, let's fucking go.
So there's a lot of like parallel frames going on in here. But yeah, you start seeing the deer in place of Spike, and that's what gets Optimus to use his arm as a weapon and to start going sicko mode on him. Cliff Jumper and Carly show up and save Optimus, who then picks up Spike and brings him to a hospital. Yeah.
And Starscream goes, oh, this is where you fix the humans?
He's straight up war crimes.
Crimes,
which
man.
TBH, if you look at the news, the hospital's getting bombed, man. It's fucked up. And
It's so
they got to
crazy.
put it in there. It's like, you can't have a more evil person than somebody who bombs
blowing up a hospital.
You know?
When even Soundwave looks at this and is like, bro, is this even what our goal is?
Yeah,
like, you're
he's
just
like,
being
yeah.
a
What are you
dick.
doing?
It's insane.
And then the power gets knocked out, and then they need to bring the power back. So
Yeah.
Somehow
Optimus
everything
is like-
explodes right around Spike, but his room is chilling.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fine in the
He's
hospital
vibing.
bed, but all the generators are down. And then Optimus uses the
His,
matrix of
matrix.
leadership, which is like the thing
thing
that's
from
the
Transformer
prime-
1.
Dude, they call
Yeah.
the letters column at the end of each book, they call it the matrix of letter shit.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Isn't that
What
so
the
adorable?
hell?
Yeah,
Yes,
they
sir.
do.
Isn't that adorable?
But he uses it to turn all the electronics back on, and so Spike is saved.
and now he doesn't have like any extra Energon. He
Yeah.
has just enough
Is-
to function.
Is it Cliff Jumper or Ratchet that mentioned it's just like, it's
Probably
sick that you did
Ratchet.
that, but dude, we need that. Like,
Yeah,
you should have
Ratchet.
revived
Yeah.
yourself. Because
Yeah.
remember,
Right.
his arm is removed. At this point, we're jumping back and forth. At this
Yeah,
point, he hasn't
sorry.
changed it out with the cannon gun because his first priority was get Spike to an ambulance, and then they kind of start to regroup.
Right.
But Carly,
while fending off Starscream this whole time.
and
Yeah.
Ratchet's argument is basically like, you are the prime. If we lose
if
you,
you fall,
we
all,
lose the war.
dream.
Right, and then all of this conflict, all of this suffering and death has been for nothing because the Decepticons just win and they get their way, and then they're gonna conquer this world. But Optimus is like, well, I used it to save a bunch of innocent beings. Like, it doesn't matter. Ratchet
Like,
goes,
he's like, this
well,
is what
none
a
of them are
prime is
innocent.
for.
You saw the humans literally shot
They
you.
shot this kid.
Yeah.
Like and they shot their own, like, in pursuit of you. So like Ratchet is like very pragmatic, but Optimus is taking all the guilt onto himself. He's like, well, I brought this war here. It's my fault.
Yeah.
Ratchet is like, yeah, well, the war's
We're here
going
now.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, war is
war's
war,
going on.
man.
If it's gonna consume this world unless you're alive.
Yeah.
So it's very tough. Optimus is making the more human decision, but not necessarily like, especially because
the right one. I
right,
guess, yeah.
especially because
For
he's
their
a
people, maybe.
hundreds and hundreds of years old robot who's
Yeah.
lived most of his life in wartime. He's not making that grizzled, hardened decision. He's making a human decision.
He's not being
So,
like a general.
Since Carly Road and Cliff Jumper to pretty much move the point of Optimus to the ambulance, they are then having a heart-to-heart since Sparky jumps into Optimus on the way to the ambulance as well, or to the hospital, and isn't really sure about Optimus still, but it's like, you seem to be saving my son, so that's sick. And then, he's like, once he sees him use his
he's
matrix
on
where he's
board.
like, fire.
Yeah, once he gives his own life force to save his son.
yeah,
he does-
He's like, all right, you're cool.
Well, and not only Spike, but also everyone in the hospital.
Everyone in that, yeah,
Yeah,
because
right.
all those people would have died if he didn't do that.
And so Sparky tells Carly that Davey, who we didn't know beforehand, was just some rando, is Carly's dad. And so she's going through it and talking with Cliff Jumper, and Cliff Jumper's like, oh yeah, I can relate. All of my clan died.
My
And she's
entire
like,
family's
You're a
dead."
clash of clans?
You're-
And he's just like,
Yo, what
no,
was
they're
your
my
town hall?
family.
Based are you?
They're my
Town
family.
hall.
Yeah. He leveled up his town hall with all of Cliff
he's
Jumper's
Town
family.
Hall 16
At least. And then we get a random page where we're back with now the there's a lot of Decepticon Autobot clashes, and then they all run off. It's very
We
so
get
a
a
kid
lot
playing
of
with their
this-
action figures,
yeah.
and like they fight. Now they move off and do this stuff. Now
Yeah.
they fight.
Fight
We
again.
get a lot of Decepticon like base talk.
Yeah.
like
And-
they're
and-
always just talking.
They bring up again. It's just like, do not say Megatron. Then we just get a splash panel of Megatron frozen and fucking who
Yeah,
knows
Starscream
where.
Starscream just like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna be the Decepticon leader now and forever. And
forever.
on that forever page is just
Megatron.
Megatron captured
Captain
in ice.
America
With only
Yeah,
one arm.
Captain America with only
Yeah.
one
One arm
arm.
is missing.
One arm.
Where's the arm? Yeah,
He's-
sorry, we kind of jumped the gun, but he's
They
missing
ripped
an arm.
that
Where is
shit
it?
off of him, bro.
He was jorking
The
it too
important
much.
one
Yeah,
too.
he was-
They took the good arm.
Yeah, for real.
His jorking arm, man.
That's his scope arm.
Yeah, that was
Um,
like probably the end of like what 4 or something.
I think
like
so.
that?
Something.
Yeah.
So then there's some parallels between Optimus and Sparky again, where they're both going through war, and you're seeing them lose people.
They're talking- yeah, they-
Sparky with Jimmy
They
and
bond
Optimus.
over
it. Yeah.
I don't remember who it was with Optimus that died.
They're like,
But-
how long was your war? He was like,
Yeah.
one tour. I'm like, mine
How
was-
long
mine
was
a
yours?
couple
Hundreds
centuries.
of years.
I don't remember anymore. Yeah, and he's just like, so do you get war now since you've been doing it so long? Like, do you understand why we do this? And Optimus is
He's
just
like,
like, no, it's the dumbest shit ever, over and over.
yeah.
And there's a
Forever.
human who's at the hospital, like a human kid. He's sick, and he's like pulling his IV along with him, and he's like, "So I heard
Mr.
you could turn into a
Optimus?"
truck."
he's like, yeah, but I'm a little tired, but I'll still do it for you.
Optimus is like, "Yeah, check this shit out." Go. And then he turns back, and the kid's like, "You can turn back too."
Oh yeah,
that was a fun little
He just does it to
tidbit.
show him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
He's just like, I'm a little damaged, but I'll try.
He's
man.
like, I got you. He turns into a truck, and then like he's talking with Sparky, and then Sparky is like, they're talking about the Energon crisis. Now they're low on it, and then Sparky was like, well, these dudes are, attack the power plant, but like that's not even where we get all of our like main power. Like, let me go take you to where we really get
The
it.
source.
The
And then
dam.
That's when
Yeah.
they go to the dam, and then
Which, by the way, everywhere they go gets fucking blown up. But
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
So
It gets
bad.
messed
but
up.
so they get to the dam, and Wheeljack, who is a different, he's like the engineer of
That's
the
his name,
Autobots.
Wheeljack.
Yeah.
yeah.
He's the one.
Oh,
who
he
looks
just
like a
gets
fucking-
res to fix stuff and then he dies again.
But he's
Pretty
no,
much.
No,
No, that
that
was-
was
Oh, no, he lives.
Ratchet. Ratchet dies.
Wheeljack
No,
looks
no.
like a fucking
Wheeljack
pizza box, bro.
He's the
He's-
one who like gets woken up to like fix stuff and then like we don't have enough energy to keep you awake. Go back to sleep.
No, that's
no, that
Jazz.
was Jazz. Jazz.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Jazz
Yeah.
is like,
Yeah,
because
for combat.
Jazz
Yeah.
Jazz comes to help at the hospital.
Yeah.
And then
he says, bummer to be here for only one song.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Oh man, I don't feel so good." And then that's when they start talking about the energy and like
Okay,
Energon and stuff.
gotcha,
And then
gotcha.
that's when Sparky chimes in and he's like, "Let's go to the dam. I
But
can get a
Wheeljack's the
shit
main
ton of
like
energy."
little engineer.
But
builder guy.
Wheeljack gets half revived. He's literally only the top half, and he's on like
Like
just
wheels.
his-
Tank treads. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like Ratchet is the medical expert because
Yes.
he's an ambulance.
He's the doctor.
But-
Wheeljack is the engineer.
Right, but Wheeljack's like an inventor. Like
Yes.
he's good at technology.
Yeah.
But Ratchet is specifically good at like Cybertronian and like biology and
Yes.
fixing.
So yeah, they get to the dam and then Wheeljack builds
Like
the
medic and
converter
engineer
Yeah,
from
he
TF2.
builds like just a giant converter
And-
that is able to revive more of their troops.
And they bring the Autobots with them. So now the dam is their base, and
Uh-huh.
they revive the baddie RC, pink,
Oh,
pink
dude,
Autobot.
No, you're right.
She
The
is the
baddie?
good character.
Yes.
Fuck, I didn't think about that. This
Dude,
totally goon
Prime
Transformers.
Prime RC.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
guys don't even
From
The-
Transformers
Transformers
Prime?
Yeah.
I gotta look this shit
Whatever.
up. Hold on, let me look.
I think I've only seen the first 3 Transformers. I only watched the trilogy and then Bumblebee. I didn't see the like Jurassic one or any of that stuff.
Beast Wars?
Dark World or whatever.
Yo, what? Why is she not pink, bro?
No, yes, he's blue.
Why is she a goth baddie in the Transformers?
Yeah.
Prime?
Yeah.
Pull it up. Pull it up.
Pull it up.
I gotta see this in full.
You should
You
pull,
should
pull that video
Pull
up.
up the goon formers. Zoom in.
Enhance.
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 That's crazy.
I don't know, bro. I think I like the pink more.
Yeah.
Nah, you don't get it.
The kneecaps.
You don't
The
get it.
knee-
I guess
crazy.
you're right.
Those knee
This
blades
guy
are
be reading
insane.
too much.
You're looking a little too
Crazy.
angular for me. I like a round
Watching
box.
that, it was the attitude and it was the voice.
Okay,
So-
you're right. I gotta see her in
Like,
action.
the very first episode is like the kid walking up to this random bike on the road, and he like straight up like feels her up and like rides her, and then
Yep.
she transforms, and he's like, "Whoa! I didn't know you were."
You're a woman.
Not, whoa, you're a robot. You're a girl. Ew.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
never touch
So
a girl.
Baddie RC gets revived,
Yeah.
and
She's back.
And
like-
Optimus goes, "Fuck, it's been so long."
oh god, I'm gonna goon. And then
So yeah. So the enemy forces.
Pull up.
yeah,
Yeah,
'cause Ratchet's
sound-
literally like, RC, it's so good to see you. And
Soundwave,
RC's like, Ratchet,
Starscream.
get out.
Yep. They show up and pretty much they start fighting, but the Autobots have just revived slightly higher numbers this time, so they're kind of winning.
Their goal is to protect the generator that revived them.
Yeah.
And Carly almost dies and gets saved and whatever.
There's a Decepticon called Reflector, and his alt form is
He's a camera.
He's a big camera.
Yeah.
It's not a big camera.
It's just a regular size camera.
I mean, to them, it's
fire.
just a regular sized camera. To us, it's a big camera.
right, but
Do
it's a big
do they
camera.
have cameras?
So a Decepticon, he literally just turns into a camera for them.
Does Optimus Prime
That-
be
no,
using a
it's
Polaroid?
cool as fuck.
He's actually a digital camera.
Yeah, but does he use them?
Yeah, probably.
Dude, does Optimus vlog with him?
Yeah.
Hey, Autobot Nation!
No, Megatron.
We're out here
does.
looking for the Allspark. That would make more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't change back. And he's just like, oh, you look lovely today, Megatron.
Mirror, mirror on the wall.
um,
Who's the baddest of them all?
so they're fighting and freaking it and all that stuff, and,
Yep.
and there's a lot of collateral on both ends. And the Decepticons are like, fuck, we gotta get out of here. And Optimus is just like, all right, we gotta take them now. They're weak. Which, by the way,
they're-
whole time this is ping-ponging back before. We need to end it here. Let's take them out on
Yeah.
both sides, over and
Right.
over and over.
It's always like that.
So they start chasing after the Decepticons pretty much right away.
They go back to the Ark.
They go to the Ark to fight them, and the Decepticons are like, "Ha! I knew you would follow us here."
Yeah.
Here are our little minions.
You
I
fell
knew
into
you
my
thought
trap.
you got us. Yeah, and so
Here's
because they
Frenzy and Reflector.
Frenzy. Okay, sorry, I was
Little one?
trying to remember.
Constructicons.
I remembered him because I always liked the
No,
little
you're right.
guys.
Frenzy,
I always fuck with
Frenzy
little guys.
is
Yeah.
another one of Soundwave's cassette tapes. But
Really?
yeah,
That tape.
Oh, that's where his animals come from.
Yes.
That makes so much sense. I was like, why does he just have
No,
minions?
well,
'Cause they're
Ravage,
cassettes.
What does that have to
Ravage
do?
is the dog.
Ravage is the dog.
Laserbeak is
Laserbeak's the bird. There's
the bird.
Laserbeak and there's Buzzsaw, who's a yellow Laserbeak.
I'm gonna kill myself.
Oh
And
my
then
God.
there's Frenzy, who's red, and Rumble,
They're
who's
just
the
fucking
exact
toys.
same but blue. They are just
yes,
toys.
they're just fucking toys. This came out in the 80s.
Fun fact: Buzzsaw was the original partner with Soundwave, like packaging wise. He was always with Buzzsaw, and then he started getting more traction with Laserbeak because of the comics. And then they had more of a relationship, so then Laserbeak started getting packaged with Soundwave. Just a little fun tidbit. But
Did you learn that from Chris McNeely?
yeah, I did.
So they're fighting. It's confusing. There's a lot of back and forth. I have written.
It really is just a yellow
the
Laserbeak.
Constructicons begin their Devastator transformation because pretty much somehow Starscream was able to
Revive.
Well,
revive
because
more, and he set a trap. So this
Yeah.
time, finally, after the back and forth over and over, they do something actually clever where he thinks ahead one step, and he's like, okay, they're going to counterattack because this is what keeps happening.
Right.
I'm going to set a trap for him. And the Constructicons go into this huge Decepticon or Destroyer Devastator like splash page thing.
The
Combiner.
Constructicons
And they're
merge
big.
into
Devastator.
Devastator, and
And
every
we get-
non-Transformer fan goes, "What?" goes, "Wow,
Whoa,
that's
a bigger one.
That's a big
Whoa, a
guy.
big
guys.
guy."
Wow, that's really
and
cool.
this time, the Autobots lose because it's their turn, and they get
because they won the last one.
it's just it does,
It really is kind of like that.
and in the best
Like-
way, it does feel like it's deeper than that, but it feels like a kid just playing with their toys. Where it's
It's
like
totally
it's
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
they fight. This guy has to win, so they go back into
One of them gets
Yeah.
taken out.
Yeah,
yeah, one of them dies,
damaged.
and then a new guy gets damaged.
In the
So-
beginning, yeah, it's rough because neither of them have any energy, or Energon.
Yeah.
Neither of them have any numbers.
It's like dystopian for them.
They almost die every single fight, and
Yeah.
then they find a way to keep going, and then
Yep.
go back in.
instantly too. It's just like they barely recover.
Yeah.
Maybe heal some parts, maybe not. Maybe bring in a few extra people.
This
maybe
is war,
not.
baby.
Yeah, because they're both like, this is our only chance when they're the weakest, which is true, and of course,
which
it's like
is
they're not
every
gonna,
issue.
It's the perfect
Yeah,
setup
yeah.
to be like, this guy's back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we have a
Every
bigger
issue.
guy.
Yeah,
But did you remember Sound Warp? Your favorite G1 Transformer.
so Optimus takes like vital damage. I don't know who does it. Trying to remember. Is it the Devastator?
Devastator, and then while like
Devastator picks him up and swings him around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
But, like,
messes him
Star-
He
up.
Like,
literally
Optimus, like-
drags him against the Ark.
Yeah, that's true.
Optimus
Yeah.
did kind of fuck up the Devastator, and then Starscream comes in and like
He
shoots
did all
him or
right.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did pretty good.
Optimus suplexes the entire Devastator.
He does.
Picks him up and throws him.
Like it's so.
And
But
that's
that's
when-
but that's later. Hold on, we gotta get. To
Well, that's when the Devastator happens.
Well, I know, but that's right after because he gets what Gavin was saying. He gets gravely wounded, and
Yeah.
then like They retreat to the arc.
Again, there's another retreat.
Wait,
Yeah.
this is
Another
a
retreat.
different
It
Devastator
keeps happening.
fight?
Yeah, there's two.
No, it's
It's kind of a
one
long-
fight. It's
Yeah.
one big fight.
This is
But
a little
so
delayed.
They
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 run
fight
off.
Devastator,
They
and then
regroup barely.
they retreat into the arc
Yeah.
for like 10
And they-
minutes or
and they
whatever.
split up a
and
little.
then this
Yeah,
then
yeah,
like
yeah.
Optimus is dying, and this is when Sparky is like, you know, you're pretty chill and all, so I'm gonna
So
give
I'm gonna
my
go
life
into you.
to walk into the
And-
Matrix.
And Optimus was kind of just like ready to let himself die.
Yeah, no,
he was just like, "This is it, guys.
took it
I
out.
feel my
yeah,
soul
he took
leaving.
it out. He dropped it.
Take the Matrix,
Yeah,
somebody."
he took the Matrix out and he gave it to RC. He was like, "RC, take this."
and
RC, you're the hottest Transformer.
and I think Sparky realizes the best he can do is give back his energy. And there's also a moment earlier in the hospital where he's like, "Hey, dude, Optimus, can you use your Matrix and fully heal my son?" Like, he's still not really up and awake.
Yeah, he's in a coma.
And he's just like, "I used all my power, unfortunately." So there's that little bit of he knows that the power is limited and also what it can do for good. But yeah, he crawls into the Matrix and is gone. And later that becomes a bigger thing.
Right.
Which is so crazy.
And I think right away he has a flashback.
Yeah, while he's
Yeah,
fighting the
Okay.
Devastator.
Yeah, as he has fighting the Devastator,
He sees baby.
he sees his son,
a-
which
he
is
sees a
likely
baby.
Jimmy. I think probably for his son.
Yeah,
but
it's
it
like
could be
it's a Sparky
Spike.
flashback, but like it's Optimus's hand holding
Yeah,
a little
yeah,
human
yeah.
baby, and he's
Yeah.
like, "What the fuck's going on?"
Which is in the earlier parts where
And
they're
he suplexes
Yeah.
and
and
then
he
he
goes crazy.
suplexes Devastator.
Well, and there's like a 2-panel shot where like it's Optimus and he's all rugged and scratched
Yeah.
up and fucked, and then
The shading's
Sparky,
great.
yeah, Sparky just like crawls into the. It's like a portal.
events, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
it's
goes into the
Events.
vents. It's sus. But yeah, so Optimus has the Matrix of leadership outside of his chest on the ground. Sparky crawls into it, and then you see Optimus all scratched and fucked up, and then it's just like bink, and he's just like clean, pristine, shiny metal again.
It's kind of like a health pack.
Yeah, it's like, how did
Like-
you just heal metal? I didn't know that happened. a point I had, not necessarily a bone to pick, but like a note I had consistently while reading the series is that like, it is so made for people who love Transformers, which is awesome and it's great. And like, I think people who are a fan of this series should
Hopefully love it.
have like comfort food. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not mad that it panders. I feel like
It's-
wrong saying panders, but caters to the original fans. But like when there's a scene of Optimus Prime fighting the Devastator and the background says, "You know the song," I'm like, that'd be really awesome if I did, but I don't.
what do you mean you don't know the song?
I don't know the song. I had to look it up.
Transformers.
No, because it's not
What?
talking about that one. It's talking about a different song
What
from
song
the
is it
Transformers
talking
movie.
about?
I don't know. Look it up on
No,
Reddit.
no,
That's
no,
what
no,
I
no,
had to
no,
do.
no. It's totally the theme song from the show. The You Got
Yeah.
the Touch song is not going to fit in that movie.
According to Reddit,
Reddit's wrong.
There's
according
no
to
way it's
r//
that.
Transformers.
You got the touch.
That's the movie I'm talking about.
There's
And
no
I
way.
love the scene
There's
from the
no
movie.
way.
Dude, when has Reddit ever been right about anything?
Almost all the time,
I was about
unfortunately.
to say.
I hate
unfortunately,
to give him
Reddit's
to. I
pretty
hate to
spot
give it to
on.
him because
We
I hate
to
it.
give
They're
Reddit their
wrong because
kudos.
it's absolutely the Transformers.
Yeah.
Look, when it says you know the song, that's all I know. It's like when it has like the like, and it has like the 80s like Transformers more than me. Yeah,
that's the song.
That's what I had in my head.
That's what plays in my head.
but when you look it up, audience, look it up. Look up.
Don't look it up because Reddit's wrong.
Image comic issue fucking number 6. What song are they talking about? You're gonna find
So-
it.
Why don't
You're gonna
you
see
ask
exactly the Reddit
Daniel
post I was
Warren
looking at.
Johnson, because he made the thing. It's probably in the fucking.
Yeah, why
again,
don't
I'm
you
not
ask?
saying it's
Why don't you ask the
bad.
Matrix of Lettership, huh?
Yeah.
Daniel Warren Johnson, sir. I had no fucking clue what you were talking
What
about.
song is this?
So
He's gonna write back. It wasn't meant for you.
yeah. You know,
You should
Yeah,
drop this
I
series.
want-
right
I
now.
want- did not know.
it
Yeah.
says you know.
If you know, you know, big dog. Hate to break it to you. I'm not trying to gatekeep.
So-
it's just like a personal
This
thing.
this book is like a soft feather pillow reboot though. You
Yeah.
know, because it's like for us that have not read it, they do slowly bring in some of it, and they also do make several jokes with the characters. Like Carly keeps accidentally calling them by different names and is off a few
Yeah.
letters because it's just like it's making fun of the fact that they all have
The
kind of
same,
ridiculous
like,
names
yeah.
and kind of similar sounding ones.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
but
just-
it
it's a
is
new
respectful, I
universe.
think, for people that
Yeah.
want to keep
I
reading.
mean, it's
you know?
a new universe, so it
Yeah.
assumes that like all these characters are relatively they act the same, but they
Yeah.
don't necessarily have the same history.
But there
You
is
know?
a sense of like if you don't know what's going on, they sort of let you know over time, but they also aren't like, hey man, this is the lore.
It's the Linkin Park song at the end of the first.
Yeah. What's
But yeah,
that
they,
one
they make a
called?
joke
What's that
of, like
Linkin
what you were
Park
talking
song
about. They make a
Great
joke
big
about it.
New Divide.
called?
New
New
Divide.
Divide. Yes. I know so many Linkin
They make a
Park
joke
songs.
about it in
Multiply.
Volume 2 where like RC and Carly are talking and RC's talking about the Constructicons
And she
Carly's
says, I'm so numb.
yeah, yeah.
I've become so numb. I can't.
But,
feel
and
you
she's
there.
like who? And then she's like Neon Green. And then she's like, oh.
That's and I love that because
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
how I know. And it's not like the only reason I know, but it's how I know. I'm like, okay, this is totally just for the fans.
Right.
They understand it's not going to land for everyone, but they write it in a way where it works. That's the thing. Is like, man, I don't give a fuck about Transformers, and I tried to be like receptive and open to it, but it's just not for me. Big vehicle robots, it's cool, but it's not gonna keep me gripped. And so it's like that was the only falling through with this series, is that it really is for people who love Transformers. But damn, if it's not like well written, if it doesn't make you care. I loved the Decepticons, man. When Skywarp got turned into Teletran, I was like, fuck, that's my favorite guy. I liked him so much. I love a shithead, useless bad guy that all the other bad guys
fire.
are annoyed with.
Like
Yeah.
the Jester character.
Yes,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Bowser
It's just the
Jr.
joke.
Bro,
Yeah.
I love a
Nah.
Bowser Jr.
Nah,
Give me
it's
a
more-
little piece of shit.
It's more like Lenny. It's like
Yeah,
Bowser
Lenny.
Jr. at least has aura or something, you know. Fucking Lenny.
He at least has the
Who is
Bowser
that
name
guy?
to him.
Ludwig? Hell no.
Yeah.
Morton.
Yeah, who are these guys?
But yeah, that was
the
the end
Koopalings.
of
It
the
was into
first
Volume 1.
There's
6 issues right here.
There's a huge fight. Friggin' Cliff Jumper has a clear shot on Soundwave.
Starscream.
Stars.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't take it. Carly's like, take the shot. Take the shot. And he's like, I don't think I can.
can't
She's like,
do it.
take the shot. And then he gets beaten. I guess he's like looking at Carly instead of at the person he's pointing a gun at, which I recommend doing if you're ever pointing a
Yeah,
gun
if
at
you're ever
somebody.
in a
Just look
fight,
away.
always look at the
Batman's
guy.
waiting for you to do it, so do it. Give him the opportunity. So most of the Decepticons get away. Most of the they now have controlled the ship, the Ark, and like right away, back at the Batcave, Soundwave challenges Starscream for leadership. He's like, dude,
Yes.
you are a messed up piece of
He calls a meeting.
poopy butthole.
Yeah.
He calls a meeting, and all the revived Decepticons are behind Soundwave, and Soundwave is like,
You're incompetent. Megatron would not want this.
Yeah. He's like, stop saying that name. And he's just
Starscream
like,
goes,
no.
I told you
Don't
not to
talk
say
about
that
him.
name."
And he's like, no, this is a formal duel. And,
Yeah.
and
It's our way.
Pick up your weapon. You have
Starscream
to
gets
fight.
actually like messed up,
gets
dude.
fucked
No
brutalized,
contest.
Genuinely brutalized.
And then Soundwave just rips out his heart and it's just like throws it behind him. He's just like, go put that in the generator and
like-
bring me someone
They're
useful,
like
you know?
at a volcano or something.
Yeah, he
and
just
he
lets
like
him fall
kicks
in.
him into it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like
you were my
Terminator
brother,
2.
Anakin.
Yeah, man.
I've got the high ground.
Yeah. It's messed up. Yeah,
So
so now
Starscream
he
gets
takes
dethroned.
over. I think there's some more stuff with Optimus seeing Sparky's memories. Carly won't talk to Cliff Jumper.
Yeah.
Optimus.
Oh,
and-
she mad.
and-
She's on a fucking warpath.
Yeah.
She's
Spike-
out in the yard shooting guns. RC's
Yeah.
like, hey,
Yeah.
man, you
How
might
old
want to
is
calm
she?
down.
She's
a
got to
little
be
bit.
like what? 18,
They're
19?
like
Not
college
maybe.
age,
Yeah.
you know. They're
Yeah.
talking about applying to colleges and
Uh-huh.
shit. So they're
Yeah, and the high school, so like, yeah, 17, 18.
Is this the last night?
No, I'm going through all the.
He's just going through World War II.
Because it's borderline like more.
I see a Nazi symbol there.
Hell yeah, dude. Remember?
Transformers
I
fought the
remember.
Nazis?
I remember. Yeah.
Optimus,
yeah, in World War II.
Optimus was at D-Day.
Yeah, Bumblebee stopped the Holocaust. So like that is.
He was there.
Not in our world. You know, he did not.
Not in this
Depends
comic.
on the
Yeah,
book
where the
you
fuck
read.
was Bumblebee in this universe?
Honestly.
Let's see.
So yeah, so there's just more stuff going on, but the big thing at the end of 6 that we didn't mention is that Spike wakes up and he's like,
Where's Daddy? Where's my dad? He like writes on a piece of paper. Where's my
yeah.
dad?
So
'Cause they
he
tell him not
won't.
to talk.
He's in a wheelchair. He's in a bad shape, but he's like stable, and he won't talk to Optimus. And Carly's having this whole thing with Cliff Jumper.
Yeah,
it's
both
very
the human
dramatic.
characters are kind of pissed off at the robots
Yeah,
right now.
but Carly is like, you're a bitch. You didn't take the shot. And Spike is like, Optimus, I know
like,
it's not your fault.
I get
I
it,
just
but
need
I need a
time.
minute. All right.
Don't fucking talk to me right now. My dad's inside of you.
Yeah, he's in you. Not
You said that to me one time. Never mind. So
more than meets the eye, man.
More than meets the eye.
Thundercracker.
Thunder what?
I can say it.
We not
Yeah,
cracking
he's
that.
white.
Thundercracker and Soundwave are on a fucking
Crackers are
battleship,
weird.
and Thundercracker picks up a little boy, a little militia marine.
He picks
Picks up
an
a
old man.
little marine man, and he's like, I pity your weakness. He's like, please, sir, I have a family. He's just like, I pity you. He's just like, puts him on a little boat. He's just like, get out of here. And then Soundwave's just like, and
Yeah,
blows up commits war crimes.
He's like, look,
kills them all.
respectable, but also regrettable, and it just sets off
Yeah.
his.
So it sets up like Starscream will shoot a hospital.
He's messed
like,
up.
Ha ha ha! Kill humans. Soundwave is like, that's fucked up. But these guys are military.
And they're gonna go to their superiors, so like this is for us.
Take them out.
The greater good is what he thinks.
Right.
Less than that, where he's like, well, they're not.
For sure.
immediately
Yeah.
gonna stop us.
He
Right.
feels bad. So you can see already that and this is all, of course, just hardcore talking about war. I was thinking about Andor a lot while reading it, of course. And it's just like, yeah, they're constantly showing how the enemies are breaking down over and over on what's morally right. And the Autobots are also constantly going through this. Optimus Prime, especially every other day, is just like beating the living hell out of somebody. And then it's just like, this isn't who I am. And then he goes right back to it. It's just these cycles of what war, it's really about that.
Optimus has a line where he's like, I fought all this time, and every time I look in the mirror, I see the exact thing I'm trying
Yeah.
to defeat. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Optimus, I don't want to go that far.
Yeah. It's,
I think you're a little
Yeah.
better than that.
He's protecting people.
And Soundwave reveals that his plan is to use nuclear power, which I guess he now understands,
They sunk the boat.
yeah,
Yeah.
to bring their ship, the Nemesis, out of the ocean, which is apparently what the Decepticons, some of them came in on.
So yeah. So the Nemesis.
One of them, at least, right? Yeah.
So, okay.
Just drop the lore.
Okay, so the Nemesis is basically the Decepticons' version of the Ark. Is like that ship. So when the Ark launched off of Earth, they didn't realize it,
They're
but the
being
Nemesis
chased.
also launched off of off of Cybertron, and the Nemesis started like write this down. So then the Nemesis started chasing after the Ark, and they talk about it after Volume 2, but. Then the Decepticons on the Nemesis boarded the Ark, and then that's where they lead off. Where they end is like they're
Gotcha.
fighting. Ark,
But the fight just ended up at the Ark.
right, and so it ends up on the Ark, and then they crash land, and then they all pass out and all
Yeah,
that.
it seems like the Autobots with Optimus. Optimus is basically like, well, the world's fucked, we gotta go. I'm gonna take some Autobots with me.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of Decepticons followed them, and then somehow got onto the Ark.
Right.
I think they're looking for not only maybe another world, but also a source of Energon, because the main Cybertron's out of it. So I
Yes.
think they were they couldn't.
Well, that's
through
both
war.
That's like everyone's objective.
Well,
Yeah.
what I don't get is like, and I'm sure they get into it, but like, and even like Alita kind of talks about this, but like Optimus low key did abandon Cybertron,
Right.
So it's like, well, if the planet was fucked and the leader of the Autobots is like, all right, this planet's gonna run out of energy, we need to go find somewhere else. How come some of them stayed? Like, what's the point of staying?
So the point of staying.
they want to go back.
Civilians and shit,
Right.
probably.
So the
I don't
point,
know.
the whole goal
Bro,
is
they're
to
all
find
robots.
another source of Energon, so that way they can still keep Cybertron like running in a life. Oh, sorry. Hold on, I gotta take my medicine.
Hell yeah, brother.
Boom!
Take your medicine at home.
Stay unmedicated. You don't need that shit. Your balls are huge, bro. You don't need to take the
Don't
ball.
worry
He's
about
taking
it.
the ball shrinking
You
pills.
can stay hard forever. It's okay.
Chat, tell this man his balls are big and beautiful. BBB, big beautiful balls.
Publicly executing Megatron.
I love that they have the stats for like who it was that died too.
Yeah.
And America's
anyways.
taking it
Bro, fake
in the
out.
butt.
Well,
Basically,
when every alien lands in America, we're gonna have the most casualties.
Yeah.
I mean,
This is him double tapping a prisoner of war.
as you do.
What is
Yeah.
that?
that's Sentinel Prime.
Sentinel Prime. That's what his name is.
Oh,
So-
here's him absolutely eviscerating the fallen. This
Per-
shit is
Perennium
fucking
Prime.
rips off his fucking face.
That's
and then
a
straight up just rips
anus
his heart
Are they in
out.
Egypt?
I think
Yeah.
so.
Dude, it's like Godzilla
I don't remember
versus
that
Kong.
movie too much.
Yo, who would
I
win?
haven't seen these since I was,
Godzilla
like,
versus
12.
Kong versus fucking Optimus Prime.
I would watch that.
Optimus Prime.
Well,
No,
then
man.
Godzilla was hopping around Tokyo City like a big playground. Then
Okay.
suddenly Batman burst from the cave.
You know what I realized
Hit
recently?
Godzilla with a bat grenade. Sorry.
Fortnite
And
is
Indiana
just,
Jones of the movie.
Fortnite's the ultimate battle of destiny as a game. That's
It
all it
is,
is.
yeah.
It's a fight to the death. They have like 90% of the characters in there, and that's all it is.
Shaq's in it.
Yeah, they don't have
Destiny.
they don't have Chuck Norris yet, but
Good guys,
He'll
bad
come.
guys,
He'll
and
come.
explode.
He's been coming.
As far
So, anyways,
as the eye
yeah.
can
So
see.
everybody
only
from
one will
Cybertron's
survive.
goal. Everybody from Cybertron's goal is to keep Cybertron alive with Energon, but they don't have a source of Energon there.
'Cause they've
So
been
that's
warring
why, because there's a huge war
for
and they
hundreds.
used all their resources. So some of them went off-world to go and find Energon's source, while some of them stayed behind, so that way they could fight it out and one side
Secure
could secure Cybertron for the returning party. So while they're going on their missions, there's still the Autobot Decepticon war that's just happening on Cybertron to keep it in one of the factions' grasp, which we find out later.
This is where we get the confusing: is it a flashback or not?
Right.
But
So
is
R-
it?
Clearly, it
RC
is not.
Yeah. it's
RC
not.
is talking about with Carly earlier.
when you're reading it.
when she's like, "Yo, Carly, don't shoot all that. Why are you shooting stuff?"
What are
And then
you
she's
doing?
like, "Anyway."
Yeah.
She's like, nice gun, check this shit out.
Yeah. So she's pretty much like, I lost my master, Magnus. I miss him and all this
Who
stuff.
looks exactly like
and
Optimus
don't go
Prime.
down this path of darkness. So then, yeah, later we get to see, which seems like a flashback, but it is not. What's
It is
going
in
on
present
at
time,
Cybertron.
just on Cybertron.
A character called Alita that looks the exact same as RC, but
With
her
the
head's a
samurai
little different.
helmet.
Samurai
Her
helmet.
helmet's
Yeah.
cooler. And she's helping Magnus, and Magnus is just bones.
and
Bones.
So
Just-
right-
just
yeah.
wires. and
Weird
Magnus
seeing a
Magnus has
de-skinned
been
Transformer.
tortured
Yeah.
by Shockwave, who you find out is the current leader of Cybertron.
And is also different from Soundwave.
Yes. Yep, but they
But
both
Soundwave
they both end
calls
with
upon
wave.
Shockwave.
Yes.
So the purple guy on the left here, or your right.
The purple
is
guy?
Shockwave.
The purple guy.
Yeah, purple
Michael.
guy.
The man behind the song.
here.
This is Soundwave. So he's like a giant cassette player, and this guy's like.
That's a
Dr.
gun.
Frankenstein.
Yeah,
So-
so I was gonna say Shockwave. I thought he could turn into a gun to be used by other Transformers, but it seems like he can just deploy a gun for other Transformers to use.
No, he turns into a gun.
Yeah.
In
I'm
the-
sure he does
in the
too, but
comic-
I swear to God, there are panels where someone is holding a gun, and then the next panel he is up and around, and
Yeah, he just transforms back. But
it's. I was confused. I thought because the gun looks exactly like him,
Yes.
but I swear there's like too much back and forth. It wouldn't make sense. I think he can just deploy a gun, kind of like how Soundwave can deploy his animals.
he turns into a gun. That's his whole thing.
Which speaking of,
You are wrong.
Your mom and your dad
so Soundwave
Oh.
in his battle with
and Optimus Prime.
with Starscream mentions the death of his little man. What's his name?
Ravage.
Ravage. Because
See, that dog's been dead the whole series.
Starscream kicks it.
Yes.
So that's one of the main reasons
here.
he's got
Ravage.
a personal reason to beat up.
Kick my dog.
Yeah.
my Ravage.
So pretty much Soundwave is using an antenna on the Nemesis, which is still in the ocean, to call Shockwave, who then teleports to Earth along with a huge chunk of Cybertron somehow.
Well, that's okay. That's like
Oh,
that happens
I
at the very
forgot
end
about
of
that
volume
shit.
2.
That's
They-
the very
well,
end.
Because he calls on
Well, Shockwave shows up right away.
He shows up because
but the
like,
island does
there's
it?
so they just have a teleporter connected with the
Okay.
Nemesis.
Okay.
So Shockwave
Right.
comes.
The Autobots go to the dam, and they are trying to use the hydropower to turn it into Energon.
Right.
The Decepticons come in and kind of intercept it and turn it into like a... Oh, no. From Nemesis, they go and they create like a huge laser beam into space.
Yeah.
They make
teleporter.
just a huge converter.
Yes.
And basically their whole plan, like the Bay movies, is to bring Cybertron to Earth. That is what they're trying to do.
because they
I
want to
don't know
drain
the
all
plot
of
of the
Earth's
Bay
yummy.
Yes. But it's too far away to like
They're
do it
gummy
like that.
juicy. It's like the Earth is a gusher to Optimus, but he's
Yeah.
like no, I can't.
I'm on a diet.
So Alita saves Magnus and jumps into a portal. It happens to be the same portal that Shockwave came through.
Yes.
Ratchet jumps in front of Cliff Jumper and gets shot. to death.
Bro,
No,
Ratchet's
dude.
like third time dying in this series, but this time it's like a big deal.
And
No,
then
this time he's like dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his-
supposedly.
That was his first.
Literally what he said, Ryan.
And
That's literally not what he said.
I kind of said that, but I wasn't gonna call him out.
I don't.
for it.
So where
Got you, bro. Don't worry.
Thanks, Nisha. Thanks, big dog.
I don't remember where they're fighting at, but then when that happens,
in the ocean.
Okay, they're fighting at the ocean, and then Jazz and Cliffjumper, and Jazz looks very, very similar to Ratchet to me. So I thought,
no,
that,
for real.
Fair.
it's
they're both- they're
confusing
both white.
sometimes. They're both
Jetfire
white and
also
smaller,
looks
and
All
black
white
black.
people look the
Yes.
same.
One's literally. One's an ambulance, the other one's like a white van or something. It's like, all
You
right.
have to go based off dialogue.
Yeah.
I think he's supposed to be like a Porsche.
Yeah, he's supposed to be
Uh,
like a sports car.
So
Yeah.
so Jazz and Cliffjumper are taken captive.
Optimus leaves them.
Optimus and them have to run away again. It's this back and forth. And he has a flashback done in the OG Transformer art style of him with
Yeah.
Ratchet, which is cool. It's like he's having this flashback and they do it with the same shading as the OG like newspaper comic Transformer stuff
I didn't even
for one
notice that.
panel.
Yeah,
and it
no,
was
you're
so
right.
cool.
I didn't really notice it. I was thinking it was just going from like a more optimistic look because it's not. It's in
Let
the
me-
past. You
I'll
know.
put
Or
up.
just like the way
Pull
like,
that shit up.
you do flashbacks in comics. It just
Oh
change
wait,
the
this is after
color.
issue 6.
Right,
I don't
here,
have it. I
um,
don't
Yeah, we're
Do you
well
remember
past
what-
issue 6.
So yeah, we're actually because the fight
Probably
that
eight.
was happening
8 or
was so Shockwave and Soundwave on the Nemesis make the big converter, and then when the big laser beam happens and starts teleporting Cybertron is also when the Autobots like they realize that the Nemesis is back online, so they start going towards it on Jetfire, who is stuck in only his alt form. So they start flying towards it.
Poor guy.
And then the giant laser pops up, fucking destroys Jetfire, and then they crash land on the
floor of the
little
ocean.
floor of the ocean where
Yeah.
like there's just a giant whirlpool that's now opened up because of all this shit that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And they get stuck in it, and then they start fighting. And while this is all going on, Alita 1 back on Cybertron is trying to save Magnus, who has been a research/torture subject for Shockwave for also like hundreds of
For
years.
150
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. And so she is trying to escape out of the base that he's been trapped in, but she can't find a way out. And then she sees this giant portal, and then she's like, "All right, this is probably our only way out." So then
she
she
says,
goes
"Fuck
through it, and this is like right when Shockwave is about to deal like a final blow to Optimus.
Yeah.
And so she crashes into Shockwave, and then the Combaticons, who are another combiner group,
Oh
are
my.
chasing after her.
Yeah.
And then she shuts down the portal. And so the portal to Cybertron is closed, and one of them gets like ripped in half because he's like partway through it.
Yeah.
But
I love when they do stuff like that with portals. In any
Yeah,
media,
no, it's so
I love when
fun.
you cut someone in half by closing a portal.
and they do that. They don't do it with the portal, but they do it with the door with Ratchet in
Oh, yeah,
at the,
yeah, yeah.
in
Oh, that's
issue
true.
6.
Oh, with his foot.
With his foot,
That
yeah,
shit
because
is
Devastator
mad.
has it, and then he's like, "Close the door," and then bam, it just cuts it off.
Yeah.
But
There's a lot of limbs being lost.
Yeah.
It's like Star Wars.
and so Alita breaks in, and then like they also have another little fight. But during the process is also when Gavin was talking about when Ratchet dives in front of Cliffjumper to not die, but then he dies, and then Cliffjumper and Jazz are on the wrong side of the arena, while the other Transformer with all the Autobots are on the other side, and they're too far away. And Alita's like, "We gotta go, we gotta get out of here. Like we are in a bad fucking position. They outnumber us. We have to leave." So they leave, and then Cliffjumper and Jazz get captured by Shockwave.
And guess how all the Autobots get there? They jump inside of their friend. Jetstream.
Jetfire.
Jetfire. Jetfire wakes up and he's just like, "Why am I alive? Kill me," kind of thing.
Yeah.
He doesn't say "kill me." That's
I was
Magnus.
confused about that because like
He wants to
Jetfire
sleep.
turns into a jet which is big enough to be piloted by Cliffjumper and
Yes,
big enough to like
and fit-
carry a.
okay.
So those
Yeah.
the other Autobots were in
They're
like
in a trailer.
in a
under-
trailer
Yeah.
underneath Jetfire.
But still, Cliffjumper is small enough. to be able
Cliffjumper
to
is small
pilot.
enough to be able to pilot.
He
Yeah.
grew big, man.
So that
It is
that
veggies.
actually is a thing that some Transformers do have. They have the ability to change their size like that. That's why Shockwave can turn into a small gun and all that because it's I don't remember exactly what it's called, but some of them have an ability
Some of them
like
are just
that.
small.
Like same way with Skywarp, how he has a special teleportation ability. Some of them have the ability to like turn small or to turn bigger for others to
Right.
go in them.
So can Cliffjumper turn small?
No, he's just small.
He
He's
just
just
is
small
small.
enough. Yeah, he's
What are we
just
looking at?
naturally
Going
small.
up here, how they change all the shading and stuff to be OG.
Wait, let me see.
It took me a while.
Oh, yeah, it is way different.
Yeah, I'll have to pull it up on screen. It's this one.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, they used all the OG shading.
I didn't even notice that.
And stuff. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Anyway,
Neat.
yeah, so much happens, man.
Yeah, so the Autobots retreat. They go back to the Ark, and with Ratchet being dead, they don't have a medical guy, a doctor who can actually like repair them in the sense because like Wheeljack is an engineer and Teletran 1
Oh yeah,
can
also
like
Cliffjumper and Jazz get captured.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so they've been captured by Shockwave and they're strung up and all that. And so with Ratchet gone, they don't have like an actual doctor who can do the slight biological mechanical repairs
And
that they
he's
normally would.
been doing it by hand. Couldn't
Right.
get the computer to work because what's his name again?
Because
Skywarp.
Skywarp,
Skywarp
Yeah.
is built in there.
Skywarp
and
is still
he's freaking mocking him the whole time.
Skywarp's a fucking dick.
Yeah.
That's how he's just like a
just
even
like,
more
"Ah,
robotic
ha,
voice.
yeah,
It's just,
ha."
ah, 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 ah.
Like the small bit of his consciousness remaining is still being a dick to the Autobots.
And he's still because he's still loyal to the Decepticons because he doesn't remember what happened.
But then
they
they
show him, right?
use
yeah,
him.
but then Optimus and Wheeljack, they're like, let's pull up the cameras. Jamie, pull that video
Jimmy,
up.
pull up a clip.
And so they show the camera, and then like he kind of sees it, so he already is having a little
begging
doubt.
for his life.
But then there's a whole thing where Carly like has an RPG, and she's like, let's just kill him, and then we can fix it, so that way
Yeah,
we
she
don't have
is
this
on
problem.
some shit, bro.
And then they're like, yeah, right there. She's like, let's just do this shit. And then Optimus and Wheeljack are like, this guy's a prisoner of war, and he's also kind of fucked up right now, so maybe let's not do that. But
gotta
she's like,
robot him.
yeah, you're kind of right. Oops. And then the rocket goes through him, and then RC comes and protects him.
Jumps in front.
Yeah, RC.
RC's fast as fuck.
She jumps in front. She tanks the rocket, and then after that, Skywarp kind of has a little
Instantly.
change of heart.
Instantly, he's just like, all right, I'll repair you.
And then repairs
Yeah.
Wheeljack, and then he finally has two legs again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wheeljack looks like a pizza box. I said it before, but he's like red and green and
true.
white, and he's like flat and kind
true.
of round. Like he looks.
There's some pepperoni in there.
Yeah, bro's a fucking pizza former.
Pizza former.
More than meets the pie.
Oh,
he's got jokes.
Clip that. so
YouTube short.
Carly wants to join them for another battle right after that. I think they're going back to save Cliffjumper and such.
Yeah.
And Carly's finally like, I need to go rescue him. He saved my butt so many times. I'm finally willing to talk to him. It's like, that's what it takes to get a girl to talk,
Yeah.
You
You gotta get captured.
you gotta
You gotta
get captured.
become a POW.
Yeah, fastest way to mercy. So Carly becomes an iron apprentice to RC, which is pretty much just now she's allowed to go into combat. I guess it's
Basically,
some kind of
why
sign of
I've
respect.
never seen the movie Star Wars.
Literally,
It's
a
basically
Padawan.
Padawan and a Jedi Knight.
Basically,
And
there's a
that's
top
what-
and a bottom.
Yeah. And that's what RC was to Ultra Magnus.
Yeah.
And which
Ultra
is why
Magnus.
Ultra Magnus.
Also,
Ultra Magnus.
This is vital. Batman and Superman are kissing here.
Yeah, that's my
This
coaster.
is vital.
Yeah, this is
Anyway.
vital.
Yes, they
That's
focus.
when are we not canon?
It's canon.
It's
It's
canon.
canon.
No,
Never
that's
happened.
canon.
Never happened.
Yeah.
They're super. They're more than super friends.
Oh, show me the issue.
You have an issue with it?
Give me the issue.
During
You
this
got
month,
an issue
brother?
with it?
Actually,
World's
please.
finest.
I
It's
need
still
to.
June.
I need to see what issue that happens.
This is
It's
part of
still
DC
June.
New History.
No, it's not because I read that.
This is what if.
You missed a page, brother.
I
skipped
missed
that
that
one.
one page.
They probably your mom
Yeah, they
probably
ripped it
sharpened
out.
Yeah, I
out.
think what happened is when I read it the first time, I immediately the pages got stuck together somehow, and
Right,
also
right,
I
right,
passed
right.
out in my memory.
Yeah,
while
Right,
I was
right,
just
right,
forgot.
right, right.
And then I
Blacked
just
out.
woke up and kept reading. I
You're
think
like,
that's
oh,
what happened.
what happened?
Must have been. Must have been.
Something crazy must have happened.
And
Why are these stuck together?
they're heading back to the Ark. And in the beginning, when they meet the Ark, they get inside the Ark. They don't even close their eyes. Their faces don't melt into jelly. It's like weird.
Wait,
so- Magnus.
Wrong
Wait.
arc, dude.
So Spike. Then we cut to Spike. Then we get lots of robot and then a bit of human, and then it goes back and forth. Spike is getting hunted down by.
Astro Train.
Yeah.
That's his fucking name, Astro Train. God damn
I
it,
need
dude.
to
And
write
you know
down that
why?
one.
Because he's a triple changer with a spaceship and a train.
Actually, that's
Triple
fire, dude.
changer.
Whoa, yeah, there's things
Triple
called triple
changer.
changers.
Why
I
would
need
you
a
ever
triple
not
change
be a
after
ship?
that?
That the space shuttle's got to do better speed than
Yeah,
a train.
I think
He turns into a train
Every
in like
time.
issue 20.
Nice.
What the hell?
But it's so fun because it's just choo choo and he just
That's
rams
fire.
into something.
That's very on brand.
But so Astro Train
turned into a train in
is a
space?
triple changer. Yeah. He's a triple changer Decepticon
Just accept
who has been a prisoner on the Nemesis because he kind of fucking hates Megatron for reasons unbeknownst to us, and well, unbeknownst to you guys.
And pretty much everyone but Starscream has been like a diehard Megatron like groupie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so this is our first other guy who's kind of like fuck that guy,
Yeah.
but he joins up with Soundwave's group because he promises that whenever they find Megatron, that he can go
You
at
can
him.
revive him.
Yeah, and so Astro Train, he's sent on a mission to go and get Spike because Shockwave wants a human to experiment on,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and so Astro Train goes to
He's
the hospital.
big into experimenting. Shockwave is.
Yeah, no, he's
big into it.
like just the mad scientist of any Transformer.
He's like cliff jumper. You've been here hundreds of years. I'm going to touch
I'm
you
gonna
now.
go- yeah, I'm gonna see how the
I'm
Earth
gonna make you
affected
feel
you.
things now.
Now tell me where I touched you. Here.
Yeah.
And then he just ends up slapping them.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Guys just like, I feel the beat. He's like, shut the fuck up.
He's like, I can't take it anymore.
And then Aaron's favorite character,
What are we talking about?
Beach.
Beachcomber?
Beachcomber.
The Coomer.
The Coomer. Beachcomber.
Beachcomber. I would say my favorite character is Skywarp. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, he's a fucking computer right now.
Yeah, and that's a damn shame because he was goated.
So hipster, Silver Surfer, Beachcomber, Coombs
This
out of the sky.
yuppie liberal transformer.
This dang liberal
This goddamn fucking
This dang
bleeding
liberal-
heart
Hey, I have
liberal.
that cover.
saves Spike.
Built-in sunglasses.
He's got built-in sunglasses.
Dude, that's how you know you're fucking down to
And
chill.
he's like, yo, Spike, let's get out of
Bro's
here.
got cup holders on his arm.
Like, let's get out of here, dude. So,
He's like, let's make love, not war.
right
so
on,
the whole reason Beachcomber. Well, I don't know about the original, but the whole
Touch
reason
the
he's a Beachcomber
legs.
in this series is on the Ark battle before they crash landed. He gets thrown out of the Ark and he gets trapped on the moon. And this is before we ever like got to the moon. This is when the dinosaurs were alive. So he is just stuck on the moon for like millions of years.
Yeah.
And then finally, the USA lands on the moon, and he gets on the shuttle to go back. And then when he gets back there,
Do they like know he's in the shuttle, or is he just like sneak
No,
on?
he just like he's
They have no
hanging
external
on it.
cameras,
Yeah, no,
it's
they
just
don't even look at it.
fire?
They probably saw it and they're like,
Eh.
It was the
Yeah.
60s.
So he
Yeah,
it
must
was-
be
they
believing
didn't care.
that.
And so he
They made it there.
gets back on Earth, and then like he has a whole like hippie nature moment where he's just like, it's so beautiful. He has a whole Optimus moment where he's like, oh, it's so beautiful,
Dude,
here.
and he finds the Ark and is like,
Yeah.
you know what? I don't know about
like,
Keep
Keep
that.
them. They're
Worth it,
sleeping in there. They
yeah,
they
I'm
look
like, you
peaceful.
guys get some more Z's.
Yeah, they look so peaceful.
So he doesn't revive them, and he just is doing his own thing. He's just chilling
Fucks
in
off
nature.
and is like,
yeah.
Cybertron's burning.
But they
War-
get
war
revived
is not
anyways,
worth it.
so he kind of gets dragged back into it. But
he tells Spike, "Let's not get involved with the war." And
Yeah,
Spike's
he's like,
I don't
"I'm
know
a
if I need to
pacifist."
be in war, but I can't just be vibing."
Spike goes, yeah, I can't fucking walk, so I'll do whatever you say, dude.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm in a wheelchair right now. You make the decisions, big dog.
So the Autobots then regroup to go back to Nemesis, or maybe they didn't leave. I don't remember. I think
No,
they're
they
going back
left.
to
No, they
Nemesis.
left.
Yeah.
But yeah, they
had
go
to
back.
Some
they're
of
going
them
back
are-
to save
they're
Cliff
going-
Jumper.
Some of them
Yeah.
are in Cybertron.
And so Alita,
Yeah, but not the ones that we're following.
Alita and Magnus. Alita and Magnus come down the teleporter, which Shockwave used.
True.
So they are now part of them during this retreat.
And
Yeah.
Magnus still looks like a fucking like
a
broken
skeleton.
alive, like fucking.
And
They're
RC
resin him, though.
slaps Alita
Bro looks
because
like
Alita's
Scrap
like,
Trap
"Why'd
from-
you abandon us?" And RC's like,
Every day I think of Magnus.
If I knew he was alive, I wouldn't have left.
and Magnus is like pretty much barely alive. And he's like,
This guy's
Power
broken.
me up. I want to beat him up.
Yeah, Magnus says, "I'm ready to kick some
Yeah,
ass."
so Wheeljack talks about he's like, so Magnus is like, super fucked up, and he's like Optimus, we can either repair Magnus or we can revive like 3 more warriors.
"Yeah, yeah."
And then Magnus like kind of
Magnus like,
gets
"Bring
up
me
and he's
up,
like,
man.
yeah, he's like,
Res me.
put me in,
Mercy
me.
res, mercy
Put me in,
res.
coach.
Put me in, coach. I
Warlock.
know I can do it.
Warlock revive.
Take me off the bench, man. I want to go kick some ass.
Put it in me, Chief.
All right.
Wait,
Guys,
whoa,
wait.
whoa.
When do we pause? Did you hear what Gavin just said?
I said put me in there.
Gavin
Chief.
just said put it
I said
in
put
him.
me in there, Chief.
Guys, Gavin just said put it in him. That's kind of
No,
sus.
I didn't. Yeah. So then they go back to Nemesis again. Magnus is like freaking getting ready. He sees Shockwave. He's like, transforms and then drives away.
Yeah, he
instantly.
literally just dips
the
the
PTSD
fuck out.
takes him over instantaneously, man.
Oh yeah, he turns into his vehicle form and hightails
He
it
just
out of
leaves. Yeah.
here. And that's another thing. When the robots get repaired by Teletran, Jetfire, Jesus Christ, the names are so hard. So Jetfire put the information about Earth vehicles into Teletran. So when Teletran repairs them, they get Earth vehicle form.
Yes,
But
right.
Alita and Magnus, they just came from
Cybertron.
So they have Cybertronian vehicle forms. Just so you know.
Yeah.
Just so you're on the same page, guys.
The more you
I don't
know.
know if you read it.
I'm not on the same page.
No idea. I already forgot.
Basically, he was just going to say I was spitting facts. That's all.
You spit on it.
He spits
So
on Magnus.
pretty much Optimus
So we can
starts
put
to
it
get
in him.
into a fight with Shockwave, who Shockwave really doesn't like Optimus. And Optimus begins to have like mixed flashbacks with both
Human
Sparky
memories.
and his own past, and
Yeah.
Sparky's child gets
It's
infused
all
with
getting
little
mixed
robot
together.
worms.
The PTSD.
So Optimus pretty much like goes sicko mode and absolutely
Giant
starts
shrimp
beating the
purple.
living life out of Shockwave.
Yeah, he's like about to kill him.
Destructo mode.
I don't really
think he
remember
does
this
kill him,
fight
maybe.
that much.
I think he does kill him. He's just literally like just.
Oh, it's just the
above
boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Does he not kill him? I guess you would know.
I can't remember.
I
if he
doubt
does.
he
Sure.
kills
I
him,
think
bro.
he kills him
I
because he's
doubt he
like,
kills him.
because afterward he's like, he kind of comes out of it, and I think his eyes were maybe red during that whole thing.
They were purple.
Purple.
I
Okay.
think they
This is
get
like his old self.
destroyed, man.
I think he kills him.
Like, literally, like head gone.
Yeah.
Isha, pull this up.
And
Shockwave?
Issue number 12.
Shockwave death scene.
He shatters it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His head
Yeah.
crushed.
And he's like, this isn't supposed to be who I am anymore. But Alita's
But he
like,
loves
hell
it.
yeah, brother.
Pass that shit over here.
Alita's into it. Alita's like, I finally see that you're back with us.
Oh, yeah.
I finally see your old self return.
Oh, you're right.
She's
And then he's
definitely
like-
going to heel
He's
turn.
He's like,
She's
no,
gonna
I'm
be a
not
bad
like
guy
that
next
anymore,
arc.
Alita.
Well, she's a bad
something
guy
came
this
over
arc,
me.
man.
Well, at the end.
I have it right. Yeah.
That's what he does. He just crushes his.
Dude, I
Obliterates.
I love how they make the robots have like organs and gore. It's so
It's sick.
awesome.
And
It's
the Optimus and Shockwave fight that we're talking about, this happens while they're on.
Cybertron.
While they're in
Island,
Cybertron,
which
yeah.
is part
It's a
of
dope cover too. I love Cliff Jumper, so this is fucking fire.
Shockwave.
Pseudo guy.
Shockwave has a castle, and his castle and all of his island of Cybertron is brought down to Earth through the teleporter somehow. I don't know, nuclear power or something. And it's floating above the Earth, and that's where they're fighting right now, I guess.
Shoots his arm off, and then goes
yes.
in and just boom, 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 boom,
Goes
boom.
freaky
and then
mode.
he gets,
But
and then
then-
he gets
but then,
the
then he's like crushing his head, and then in the next page, like he literally just shatters it.
Yeah. He goes sicko mode for
Yeah.
real.
Oh, he does. He just crunches his shit, bro.
And he's like, all right, we beat him. We need to make sure that Cybertron goes back to where
Yeah.
it goes. Let's get back to Earth and figure this out. And Alita shoots the portal right before
The portal back to Earth.
back to Earth.
Yeah.
She's like, you are home, because Optimus is like, okay, let's go home and regroup. Because to him, home is where his friends are. Oh.
Basically, she said, you abandoned your planet while the war kept on. I know you've been asleep or whatever, but the war isn't about saving Earth. The war is about saving Cybertron. So you're staying here and you're not abandoning us again.
Yeah. And
Optimus says,
yeah.
check this shit out.
And and he's also like, what? You're willing to just destroy this entire planet to get what you want? She's like,
Yeah,
Uh,
because Shockwave had he managed to get a shit ton of Energon from the Earth.
And she wants
to use
She wants to
she's
use
down.
it, yeah.
Good.
She wants to destroy
I
what
will
she
say-
thinks is good. She
She's
wants
like,
to
"They-
destroy
not like
all the Earth
this."
for
They
it.
used
She
it
wants
by
to use it.
they gathered this by when they had the like laser coming out of the ocean and the giant whirlpool.
Yeah.
They also had
They're taking Energon
basically
to
a vacuum
Shockwave's castle.
that sucked up all the whales and like
Water.
there was a shot where there's just a bunch of
organic
whales.
life,
So
Yeah,
tornado,
and all the
water.
Decepticons are like, wow, isn't life here magnificent? You see a new wonder every day. Anyways, turn on the blender, and it like sucks them in and blends them up. It turns them into Energon. So Optimus sees it as like blood money.
And the
He's
first
like,
time
I don't
they
want to
do
spend
that,
it.
Jet
Fire.
Jetfire is like, man, Earth's weird.
Yeah.
Jetfire's just like,
place.
damn, this is weird, man.
Yeah.
It's just like an actual water tornado, and it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, we just have that here, man.
Yeah.
It's just how Earth is. Yeah. So Alita breaks the portal. Optimus is just like, this is messed up, and he breaks the tractor beam or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
so-
she shoots something to solve a problem. He shoots something to solve a problem.
She shoots the portal
She
to
shoots
close
the
him
portal,
off.
He shoots,
Yeah.
He shoots the
tractor
battery.
beam.
Yeah.
He
The
shoots the battery they had
That's
full of
taking
energon.
the aura.
which is
Yeah, yeah.
transporting Cybertron to Earth.
Right.
And so in doing that, it cuts off the portal. But Optimus,
Is it all of Cybertron? It's just the.
it's just a
edge.
piece.
Just
so
like
right,
that
so right
piece.
here,
Just the
like, it
fingertip
shows
of it.
Is it trying to bring all of it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
There-
I thought it was just Shockwave's.
Shockwave's whole goal was to bring Cybertron to Earth, basically
Okay.
like as a moon. Well,
Yeah.
they're like the same size.
And then
Well,
and then
Cybertron's
consume all of Earth
bigger. Yes,
for energy.
Yeah.
for
Yes.
energy.
But
But
it-
then they cut it off, and it cuts off a big piece of Cybertron, though, and that is falling towards Earth. And Optimus is on that piece. Alita stays behind on Cybertron 1.
And-
So,
And
sorry, I keep cutting you off.
Shockwave. No, you're totally good. Shockwave mentions to his underlings at the castle to defend it because the big surge in Energon is going to bring the Autobots there to them. So it's like there's still war going on Cybertron, like
Right.
hardcore, and likely that's why they went through all Energon is because they're at war so long, and
Yes.
none of them are dead though, really.
Right,
You know,
because
they've
they can
lost a
just
lot in
keep
the war,
reviving
but
themselves.
They've been around for hundreds of years,
Yeah.
so they keep using their own planet to revive themselves to kill each other,
Yeah.
which is definitely something
But
that
in
humans
turn,
don't
it's
do.
just killing the planet.
Right.
There's no
and-
parallels to humanity here. Is
Well,
really what I'm
Optimus
saying.
Optimus basically just goes. There's
None.
yeah, there's not really a lot of themes. It's
I
kind of
just
just
don't-
action.
Yeah, it's just
What am
cool
I supposed
robots.
to get out of this? People that fight each other in circles over and over,
History repeats itself.
Killing
War never
POWs,
changes. Whatever.
targeting
man.
hospitals.
Uh,
we don't
but-
do that.
Yeah.
Optimus.
Yeah, especially in recent months.
Humans wouldn't do that. That's really fucked up.
Optimist Prime.
Optimus Prime. So he goes to Cybertron to rescue Cliffjumper and Jazz, who he kind of abandoned earlier. And when everything explodes, he has like Cliffjumper like on his shoulder. But when the section of Cybertron is separated and it all starts falling to Earth with him, Cliffjumper kind of disappears in the art. There's still like
Yeah.
the giant water tornado, and so Beachcomber has like a change of heart.
He comes
and
in.
he's like, okay,
He
maybe,
drops in.
Maybe
Let's
this
lock.
is
Hey,
still
he-
my war.
He's not fighting.
He
He's just,
fucking-
you know.
Right. He
Surfs
says,
in.
he says, I can do good without fighting. I
Mm-hmm.
can still be a pacifist and help the good people in the
Yeah.
good fight. So he saves Optimus, but I swear to God, Cliffjumper fucking disappears, bro.
And he does disappear somehow. I don't know how. And then Carly jumps into a vehicle. Maybe it's a transformer, I think.
No, it's her van.
No.
Okay, it's just straight
Not,
up her van.
sorry.
Right,
not,
right.
Not yet.
Huh?
Okay, anyway.
They put like a blank slate transformer into that car. Is that what happens?
No. I'm not. I won't talk
So,
about it. But
Cliffjumper
she-
becomes the van.
She
I'm gonna
ends
keep
up
making
saving
theories.
Cliffjumper, and constantly throughout this, even though she's now an iron Padawan slave servant, whatever,
What
they're
is it
still not
called?
letting her come on the journey, the missions.
So
they're
so
like,
that's earlier.
you're too weak.
That's
but that
way
happens
earlier.
over and over
Yeah,
and over.
that's-
happened like 4 times, including this time, and then she just shows up with her car and saves Cliffjumper.
But that's still while they're on Earth because that's before.
oh, that does happen before, yeah.
That is while Cliffjumper.
There's so much back and forth with stuff.
There is, yeah.
It's
It gets
hard
kinda
to
confusing,
keep
but
track
so
of it.
that's right before. I think that's like in that first fight
Could be.
when.
Yeah,
that's like
so
the
some of them
first
get
fight.
out, and then it's like pretty much just Optimus.
And then that's right when that's
And
actually- that's
Shockwave.
right here. So that's when they're going back to
Right.
save Cliffjumper. And
Yeah.
then she like kind of runs into Soundwave.
Yeah,
While they're
she
fighting.
drives into him and also ends up saving Cliffjumper through
Right,
that.
because he's-
Somehow snags him off of it
Yeah, but
with
then,
a vehicle.
But then he gets.
That's what I'm reading.
he gets Devastator kicks him back into the portal, so he gets thrown back into the Cybertron, and then that's when Optimus and Alita 1 follow him in, and then that's where the stuff that we were just talking about that starts fighting, or Optimus and Shockwave have the fight. Optimus kills him because he's got the PTSD and it's taking over his mind, so he kills Shockwave, and then Alita and Optimus have the whole back and forth argument where Alita's like, I need you here, Optimus is like, but I'm needed there, and then like she cuts off the teleporter, he shuts off the battery, that shuts off the space bridge that's bringing Cybertron, then it cuts off a piece of Cybertron. Alita 1 is still on Cybertron, and only
Right.
Optimus is seen falling back to Earth. Which,
Yeah.
by the way,
He jumps in, man.
love-
Transformer. Fortnite diving in.
Or a farm.
Where we dropping, boys?
Pretty much.
Like,
Yeah.
I love these panels right
It's
here.
so
of
gorgeous. The
him-
whole thing
of
is
it.
gorgeous.
It's beautiful.
There's great panels of action. There's panels of solitude with the nature and like Optimus just looking at the sky.
Yeah.
And as Optimus is falling, looking at the Earth, he's just like, if this is my last moments, then I'm glad that this
like-
is my view.
He's
Yeah.
like,
kind
this
of
is
thing.
pretty cool to look at. But then that's when Beachcomber shows up and he's riding the water tornado that was connecting
Yeah, while
it
surfing.
while surfing because he's the silver fucking surfer. And then he saves Optimus, but as he saves him, then there's a
Like
huge
a Texas-sized chunk is going into the
of
ocean.
Cybertron falls on into
Luckily
the water
into the ocean.
and then that's how volume
That's how
2
volume
ends.
2 ends. And that's all we read.
I read the next issue just because I wanted to.
Well, fuck you.
Well, yeah.
You can't talk about it.
You're not allowed talking.
We said 12. A dozen, not a baker's dozen.
Chat, fuck this guy up in the comments.
No. Stop it. They didn't read any of it.
Call
dude.
this guy a thundercracker.
You didn't read any of it.
Nobody else is reading this shit.
People that watch this are not literate.
It was really well written. It's
awesome.
It's awesomely done. I really don't give a fuck about Transformers.
I've been loving it, man.
Like, I want to read the rest
That's
of
fair.
Bone, and I think because it's an original thing and it doesn't have anything to call back to, it doesn't have a legacy to live up to, I'm like, I can just read this and it is what it is. But when it's like, there's like generations of Transformers before this, and it's all informing this, even if they're pulling more from G1, like, it still is steeped in history and continuity, and this specifically really does feel like it was made for the fans, which is like awesome. I mean, because you enjoy it so much.
I love it so
You're
much.
the intended like audience, and it's having such a good positive effect on you. It's awesome. It's just objectively, as someone who read it and is now like semi reviewing it, like it just fell flat when the Constructicons turned into the Devastator.
Right.
I don't know what that means. I don't care. Like, I know what it means because I read it, but like,
Why is it important?
it's just a bigger guy.
Yeah.
And they're all kind of big guys to me. So, yeah.
But he's even bigger, and he's 5 of them.
But it's true. He is five.
At
Sorry,
the same
6 of
time,
them.
He's a
it's also
Voltron,
kind of just
and he's
like
green.
a pure comic book, though. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It is
just
pure comic book. Yeah.
it's just art
Saturday
fire, writing
morning
fire.
cartoon.
We didn't talk about it. Optimus has a laser axe at one point out of his hand.
That's a thing.
That's
though.
a thing. Yeah, no,
That's
that's
just like-
Even if you don't know Transformers, I know.
But it's
That was
sick
new
though.
to me, big dog.
It's sick.
It's
Yeah.
new to me.
yeah. So
Hey.
that's
And
that's
he's
He's
got
fired now.
He's got
I don't have the Green
Megatron's
Lantern
arm
ring
for pretty
on
much
for
all the
this.
rest of it,
God.
shooting people.
yeah.
Guys, we
And
got to redo the
he-
episode.
He puts it in Shockwave's face, and he's just like, "I thought you would remember this, bud," because I guess at some point maybe you killed him with I don't know, or shot him.
I'm sure it's just like
Or Megatron just probably
used it
shot
as
him
like
too,
an
yeah.
intimidation
Yeah.
factor. So like that's a big.
I do like that Megatron's just like taking a nap somewhere for.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just and
He's gonna be the big bad eventually.
Megatron
You know, they're setting him
has
up.
such a cool arc.
I'm sure.
later on, and like he's just-
Arc?
Megatron has such a
Arc?
cool arm.
He does have
Yeah.
a cool arm, but
Yeah, dude.
the
Singular.
entire time they're just building him up, and he's just pure aura when he
I'm
finally
sure.
shows up.
There's a lot of aura farming. It's a lot of just feeling like it's action figures fighting.
Yeah.
As you were saying, it's like it is just kind of hard to keep track, and they all, really do have similar colors, and most
Yeah.
of them are planes, or most of them are little chunky vehicles.
Yeah.
The
And-
first
and
time I
that's-
read through this, other than the ones I knew, which was, and kind of remembering like Ratchet because he sounded funny, and Cliffjumper since he sounded funny, everyone else didn't even clock their name very well. I was just like, I would just remember them based off of vibes, kind
Dude,
of. But I
genuinely-
agree, it's like reading through it, I had a good time.
Yes.
But the first time reading through it, I wasn't even mentally going
Dude,
through
couldn't
trying to
I couldn't even
remember who was
remember
who.
the name.
Dude, the only
Yeah, I
guys
was just like, okay, I guess that
Yeah.
guy died now, and I was like, this is sick, but I'm not doing a very good job clocking who is who yet.
Yeah, I mean, the only guys I know from Transformers are Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, Starscream, and Megatron, right? And,
Yeah, right, Megatron,
And
of course.
Starscream and Optimus are basically the only two relevant characters here. I'd heard of Cliffjumper, but only through you, only through Jonas talking about this series specifically. He said Cliffjumper is basically
cool.
just Red Bumblebee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which
And I was like,
they
that's
do take
really
out
weird.
Bumblebee.
That's weird.
Which that's just that's
really
his
is.
entire gimmick. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hey, one quick little history tidbit.
History
but-
with Jonas.
So, when the original toys were coming out, the reason why so many of them look the same is literally just because they would make molds of one dude, and then they were like, all right, what colors can we throw on these people,
Make 'em
and
look
then make them new
different.
characters.
Right.
Make more
Clever.
money.
Clever.
Bumblebee has, I think, 2 other copies, which is Cliffjumper,
Right.
who's red, and then he has one more, which I forget his name, but I believe
He's
I
just
mean,
blue.
Ratchet, but I don't know
Is
if
he
he's
blue?
old.
No, Ratchet. So
Ratchet's
Ratchet's
newer,
different.
maybe, yeah.
He's just different in general.
Because Ratchet has to turn into
He's
an
pretty
ambulance.
similar,
So
but
yeah,
you know the toy has to be
but
different.
all the
That's
little
true.
guys, there's like 3 like different Bumblebees, and it's Bumblebee, Cliffjumper, and there's a third one that I can't remember his name, but
That's
he's
fair.
also a different color. But same thing with like Starscream
Fucking
and all the
Road
Jets
Breaker.
is they're just recolored
Right.
characters, and they had a Marvel writer who would make he would come up with a name and he would come up with a profile for every character. So they all
Just
have like
spitting them out.
yeah, and that's what they would throw like with the action figure when it would come out.
Like a
so
little
it would
card
have,
or something
yeah,
with
it would
stats.
Have, it would have a big just like
Right.
personality thing, but a lot of them just look the same. So that's why there's like 4 different police cars, but they're different colors. There's like, Prowl, Silver Streak, Blue Streak, and then there's a whole barricade. And there's a lot of
Never stops.
there's a lot of just, and then a lot of times, like, in order for people like Hasbro to not lose the right to a name, they would have to reuse
Keep doing
it.
them.
Right.
But they they wanted to do a different character. So that's why a lot of times you'll see there are 2 iterations of people with the same name, but they're entirely different
Okay.
characters. And
Interesting.
it's just there's just so much different
Yeah.
history and lore to every character that they can either be they're very similar throughout all of their like through the comic, through the shows, and through the movies, and a lot of times they have no correlation besides name. It's just the same name but completely different characters.
I mean, I like that though. I feel like a lot of series, especially long running, anything that came out around the 80s and still has like prevalence,
It's cool.
there's always like a little meta aspect where it's like, well, what real universe, like what real world outside of the fiction, like policies and laws and politics and
Played
economy,
into 'em
like
over time.
I mean, like even
Yeah.
like Star Wars, like why does Mace Windu have a purple saber? Because he fucking wanted
Because
it.
he said,
but
"I
they
want
put a
purple."
In the
lore
lore,
reason
yeah.
in, So
Yeah.
it's like there's always like the meta aspect of it. I mean,
Yeah.
like. For me, I mean, I think we're talking about comics. Like, comics are huge on that. That is so huge for comics. Why did Secret Wars happen? Because they want to make a line of action figures. What did Secret Wars end up in? I don't know. Venom, eventually. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Hickman, Secret Wars, leading into, like, Miles being in the main universe, which is now the whole Ultimate Universe. You know what I mean? Like those meta little things outside of the fiction that inform the decisions going into the work. I, stuff like that is huge. And I think that is like a sign of fans loving it is when there are those things and they just accept it because they love this series and they take it for what it is. You know what I mean?
I think that pop culture in a lot of ways is kind of cyclical, but in varying degrees. And I think it's been interesting. Like the DC New History came out, and it's showing kind of in a lot of ways which characters were relevant to different time periods.
Yes,
and
he's very good at that.
I was watching James Gunn talk about the Clayface movie and talking about how it's going to be really, in a lot of ways, a commentary on AI and not knowing what to trust with the media and that kind of stuff. And it's like Clayface hasn't been necessary or like relevant to the pop culture and societal conversation.
Batman.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's like he showed up in Harley Quinn and stuff, but it's like now he's becoming a relevant force. And it's the same thing though, looking through the new history of DC, where it's like characters like Black Canary that are old started to become like she stays
Black
through,
Canary,
and Wonder Woman stays through. It's like certain
Etrigan,
characters
like-
stick through, and certain ones you never hear of again. You know,
I think Etrigan the Demon is one of those DC characters
Yeah.
where it's just like he's
Occasionally
kind of
pops up.
weird and obscure, but
there's
he's-
times where he needs to be
right.
You know,
but he's like
he's relevant.
he's showed up here and there because certain creators just had an
They like
affinity
him.
for him.
Yeah.
Where now he kind of represents that whole area of. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
it's like Black Bolt showing up in Multiverse of Madness, and it's like, okay, there's Inhumans. You know what I mean? Like they exist. We're not going to go into detail. We're not going to focus on them, but they exist. Here is the main guy, right? That's how Etrigan feels with like the kind of demon and like dark magic side of like they could use Constantine, they could use Zatanna, but Etrigan is like even more obscure. So you put him in it, and it's like, okay, there we go, base covered. You know?
I think with stuff like Transformers, where it's really for the most part black and white, and Superman, where it's just like it seems like right now, and Transformers 1 coming out, it's like obviously this is just a new fresh push by Hasbro, but I think
Dude, I want to watch Transformers 1 so bad.
it's
so
good.
good.
It's good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
And timing wise, I think that it is coinciding with stuff like Superman, where it's like in a lot of ways we just in the point of history we're in, we need complex political characters, and we also now need some that are just good. Like you need Optimus Prime and Superman in there where they're, and
this is also hopping on the trend of like
refreshing
new universe.
Yes.
Because it's not just this, there's G.I. Joe.
Energon and multiverse of their
universe.
stuff
Yeah.
connecting.
Yeah.
It's all of that. But it's like, it is a really good time for them to be doing it, and this is a really good book. It is, as Aaron was saying, a little bit hard to approach if you're new, but not impossible, and I think it's a good way to get in. The art's gorgeous.
But actually, it kind of almost does it in the perfect way, where it's like it treats it like an inside joke. It's like, well, if you're not on the wave, you better catch on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It leads you in to enough of
But
it.
it explains enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Where it's like, oh, I
It's
don't
like
know.
if you don't know this, go watch a YouTube video on it.
Right.
And then you'll
Yeah,
like
go
it.
find
and
out
then
more
it's
about
like
it.
it leads you into then consuming more of this franchise
Yeah.
from the past because it's like, oh, you don't know about the Devastator? You
You don't know about the neon
Constructicons?
green guys?
Yeah. It's like,
Go look it up.
Well, go catch up, buddy. And
And-
it's like, it makes me feel like I'm the stupid one.
And I think how I would, and I feel like you might have a better say on it. I think I felt like I got 85% of the experience not being a hyper fan that knows everything.
Yeah, that feels
like I
about
felt
right.
like I got a good majority, definitely enough to fully like to enjoy it and take it in.
For sure.
But that extra, there is a sizable, not 10%, I would say about 15.
But then they hit you
That's
with,
more,
you know the
you know?
song, and I don't, Daniel.
Daniel.
I
Johnson,
don't.
I don't
You do.
fucking know this song. But I mean, it's in Transformers already is such a convoluted mess, and they've been really trying to like get a steady lore down on it because, I mean, there's a Gen 1 cartoon, there was the Marvel original comic book, there was a British comic book that was going on at the same time.
Ew.
But they were all different
Automatically
stories.
Roll
that
out,
had-
innit?
Roll out, governor.
Roll out.
But and they all, while having the same exact characters, had their own separate stories, and each character was still wildly different. So they
It's kind of like Ninjago. Continue.
No.
No.
So and then like it's just I'm stuck on that Ninjago comment.
Stunlocked.
It's a little true. It's a little true.
I mean, you're not wrong, but and I love Ninjago, but that just threw me off.
so
But this one has a very like more grounded and while giving the vibe of the original and while being like still accessible to everyone, where like if you don't know shit about Transformers, you can get into it and you can start reading it, and if you are interested in it, then obviously you can go find out more. But if you want just the surface level cool robot action, like you
got
can
it.
just read it and like you'll get everything, and it's
a lot of action.
It's a lot of action, and it will just have its own story that, while not being directly connected to previous lore, will still have a lot of tidbits for people who are already into it. So they will have like callbacks and just cameos and little things that are just, if you are a Transformer fan, then you can really appreciate it. But if you're not a Transformer fan, then you can still be like, oh, that's cool, and then just keep going with it. You don't have to look so deeply into it. It's just kind of surface level still.
And we only read 12, and this shit is on what
Yeah.
now?
20
20,
something,
21.
yeah.
21. And it's about to have a new creative team come on. Like, people are eating this
And
shit
the
up.
creative
Yeah.
team is peak.
It's
Yeah.
great.
Crazy
It is crazy.
and
The art is amazing. Man.
I heard that they might be doing an animated show for it as
Ooh,
well.
that'd be great.
That'd be pretty cool.
I'll be into that.
I mean, it lends itself very well to being animated.
Yeah.
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 But with the onomatopoeia and with the pacing and the paneling, like this does do a lot that's fresh and new, or just very well done. Specifically, just non-stop onomatopoeia, which it just works
It's
to its
great.
advantage with
Yeah.
the action, and also works when it's like crunch on a deer, or
Yeah.
it's a thwick with the bullet.
Or a
Yeah,
slap of
I mean, I don't think
someone
this was like
squishing
the
something.
highest tier utilization of the
No.
medium of comics. It did
No.
it insanely. Like it was really,
I
really
think
good.
it's some of the best onomatopoeia though.
But
I
onomatopoeia
agree.
insane. I think the art style
think
just
art
works.
is
You
crazy.
couldn't
It's
animate
blocky
in this
and
art
thick
style.
for a-
yeah. You can't
No,
animate
yeah.
super well like this.
It works
looks
better in comic form
Right.
for sure.
It does what it does well, but like I mean, when we got books like fucking Absolute Wonder Woman coming out, and each page is like a stained glass window of
Yeah.
paneling. It's like it's not the biggest
No, yeah.
utilization of the medium I've
But
seen,
it's
but
very
damn
clean.
it does it really well.
Yeah,
And it's not like this was like it's not like I love animation. I feel like it is the peak medium of fiction ever. But also it's like I don't think this animating this is necessarily uplifting it. Like this,
I think
comics might be the best this can do. You know,
I think it would uplift it, but this is doing a damn good job with the pacing to make it feel like, as you said, it feels like it would fit in animation so well because it lines out the movement with onomatopoeia and with the paneling.
I think animation would help the action scenes. I don't think the action is bad,
but it's good. Yeah.
But I think it's just
Comics
disjointed.
just never, they can't do it the same
Right.
way.
Well, because it's hard because there will be like a punch and then a kick, and it's just like the way
all
their bodies.
robots.
Yeah.
It's like,
well,
They're all
I-
blocky.
arm is
They're all
that?
blocks.
well, that's yes. It's hard the readability, but also I feel like the momentum and like the kinetic energy isn't there. Like they'll punch him one direction and then they'll be kicking him next in the same direction. It's like, well, if you punched him, then he went this way. You wouldn't also kick
Then
him
you
that way.
use-
You'd
yeah,
be
use the
kicking him the
opposite.
other way. And there will be times where like they send someone flying and the next panel is just like them hitting the ground. It's like, that's not really how I would have read that action. So I think animation helps out because it forces them to make it more coherent. But also like
That's the freedom the comic has too.
Right.
Right.
But that's also like that. Yeah, exactly. It's like
The rule of
the
cool.
paneling and like it doesn't. It's not that it's bad. It's just a little disjointed. But the individual panels look awesome. It's just like I wouldn't imagine that punch goes into that kick goes into that throw in that way.
And it's
know?
also, I mean, just a transformation when it's animated out is cooler, of course.
Right.
It's
They do it pretty
always
well
sick.
though in
it's
the comic. Like you'll see just like parts. There's one specific panel that I noticed when they're fighting on the Nemesis, and I think Jazz is trying to like go behind Shockwave, and you see the panel after you see him like trying to say something, he gets hit by a Constructicon, but he's in vehicle form. But in the panel before it, you like he's in a robot, but you see his arm is starting to transform.
Yeah.
And so like they have
Yeah.
like nice transformation, like
There's good
fluidity
pacing.
in that way.
Yeah.
Where like one panel you'll see like he's still in robot form, but like a leg or an arm is like starting to just like it's depaneling
Right.
and it's like kind of morphing weird, and the next panel they're in a car.
Yeah.
So like in that way it would definitely look better animated, but I do feel like they do it very well in comic form.
I mean, there's a shot in like maybe issue 1 or 2 where Jet fires on the arc, and then he like jumps out into the air and transforms into a jet midair, and then blasts off.
Yeah, you feel the pacing.
I think
Yeah.
that did it really well. There's a panel where Cliffjumper is driving past Carly in car form, but the door opens up and he has like an arm that pops out through
Yeah.
the chassis and like scoops her in, and that stuff like that is nice. I always love to see the half and half.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So, yeah, this has been a longer episode. It
Yeah,
took a while
probably,
to get through.
yeah.
About
I mean,
robots.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Definitely check it out. I'm the last one to spin the wheel. I'm using my phone to record currently, though, so I don't know. Maybe I'll just
I
flip
could-
the
you
Batman
wanna
Superman
use-
kissing or something.
Do you want to
we
use?
can just use
You just flip a coin.
We can put this on the screen.
Yeah, either way.
You have 2 options.
Yeah, it's
no,
gonna.
we can pull it up. He can screen record it.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can do the spin the wheel straight up.
Pickerwheel.com.
Yeah, it's
My
gonna
phone's at
be
4%, it's just gonna
no. I'm gonna do Fantastic Four by Ryan North and Superman All Star
my shit
since
just
Nice.
I ain't gonna lie, my shit just
since
died.
those two are coming out next month. So I'm gonna do Kissing is Fantastic Four and the back is gonna
Oh, we're
be
flipping a
Superman. I'm just gonna throw it on the carpet over there.
Kissing!
It
Woo!
was
What
Kissing,
was that?
which
Fantastic
is
Four.
Fantastic Four
Let's
by Ryan North.
go.
How many issues are we
Uh,
doing?
Probably
It just
12.
finished.
We could do 12 again. 12
Yeah,
seems
I
to
don't
be our
remember if
standard.
that. I think the first trade is 6.
Here,
I mean,
we
if
can
we
look
start
it up.
with Court of
Yeah.
Owls was 11, and
Yeah,
then
with the bonus
Twilight
stuff.
was Twilight was shorter.
Twilight was, but yeah,
You
we
guys read 19 issues of Bone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Bone
but-
was like 20 ish.
yeah.
So,
So
I mean,
we'll do 12
But
of
each
Ryan
of the
North
Twilight issues was bigger.
and Ryan North. I've read the
was.
first
It
volume
felt
and some
longer. I
singles.
think it was just
I think
dense.
each one was at least like 30 pages
I think you're.
for Twilight.
Twilight was a big one.
It was kind of thick. And Ryan North does kind of an anthology style. Like some stuff bleeds into itself, but it's a lot of like each time is something different, which will be fun. But yeah, we're also gonna be doing that in excitement for Superman and Fantastic Four coming out next month. We'll probably talk about our movie
Oh, is that
opinions
why
on
you
that.
picked those?
Yeah,
cool.
I felt
Superman comes
it'd
out on
be
my
good to do.
birthday, guys. Go see it.
Now you
for
know his
me.
birthday. Go log in, steal his data.
Yep.
33 issues.
Uh,
Just ended actually.
cool. So we'll do 12 and
We'll do
see how it is.
We'll see what the track is.
Guys, we should
how's it
acapella the
split up?
Transformers.
I think
theme.
1 is 1 through 6. So
Yeah,
we'll just
should we
do
do a
12.
sing-along?
We'll do 12.
Yeah, we should all get. We should all get a different part.
I mean, then we'll do 11 issues of it.
11 issues.
Those
What
are
are we-
2 arcs.
Are we doing 11?
We're doing 11 because that's the first 2 arcs.
That's
Trades.
I mean,
Okay, so the
that's
first
Yeah.
2 volumes.
I think
Pretty much,
like
yeah.
standard, we should do like 2 volumes.
2 volumes
Yeah.
is good. Yeah.
That is crazy. We did 3 for Bone, but that worked out
That's
pretty
it.
well.
Yeah, it's so cool. But it'll be a lot of fun. Thank you guys for watching. Definitely check out this book. Check out comic books. Read
check out the
comic books.
TikTok, check out
comics,
the
man.
Instagram,
Yeah.
check out the previous
I
episode.
got a lot of
enjoyed
social
this
media.
series, and I would continue.
It's good.
Especially-
I'll probably catch up.
I
It's not
I will
bad.
I don't
definitely
think
be
I
continuing.
don't know.
this.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna, I don't know. I mean, I gotta catch up on Bone and then.
Yeah, I'm like 20 away from Bones still.
Oh, we're acapellaing this. Boonch, boonch,
Oh yeah.
boonch, boonch.
Hold on.
Why are
Wait.
you not playing the Linkin Park song?
Because this is the actual song, Isha.
I've become so numb, I can't feel you there.
Can't, sorry.
More than meets the eye.
The text is so good.
I love
The
Bone.
great
Read comics. Read Fantastic Four by Ryan North. Goodbye.
Yeah. See ya.
Let's just do other